What's good? You're listening to Daniel and Gian talk shit. I am Gian.
And I'm Daniel.
And today we have a very special episode. It is exactly 1 year from our first episode back in August of 2016, number 49. And today we're going to be discussing the Conor McGregor Floyd Mayweather fight that's happening in about 2 weeks or so.
August 26th.
August 26th in Las Vegas. Some people call it a spectacle. Some people take it serious. If you say spectacle, there's certain MMA fighters who get upset about it. Whatever. We'll
get into that. I'm
sure.
we
will. But let me introduce our special guests. Today we have Garrity McOsker.
Hello.
Boxer. Well, describe yourself a little bit. Just a little bit?
Boxer. Multi-sport originally, but eventually narrowed it down to the one that you can turn professional at when you're 5'8" and about a frame of 160. So boxing's my main love now.
You also do a weekly newsletter for boxing fans.
Right. I try to educate the boxing, not boxing fans, really the mainstream people who don't know shit about boxing. Try to educate a little bit. It's called Boxing TLDR. It's a weekly newsletter and a website. And yeah, it's been fun little project.
Okay, and we also have returning guest Andrew Galvan.
Fan favorite.
It's the rumor.
He's a boxing aficionado, a combat sports aficionado, professional shit talker, and what's the show that you like? I can't fucking remember.
Insecure.
An insecure vlogger. Mm-hmm. Well, actually, he's an insecure tweeter.
Best Buy Polo, Twitter. That's me.
Anyway, so how do you want to start this? How do you guys feel about this fight? We'll start with you, Garrity. You haven't been on the show before. How do you feel about this fight? Be honest, since you're obviously a boxing first guy.
I mean, yeah, but I respect MMA.
Talking to the mic a little bit.
I respect MMA, but boxing, I'm a kind of a boxing purist, obviously. I think like when I first heard about it, I thought it was a joke. I don't really believe he should be in this fight.
Who's he? Conor?
Conor. I have these mixed feelings though, because people would hear me like give my opinions on it, and they'd be like, "So you're not going for the Irishman in this fight?" And I have to be like, "Well, which do I have to choose? Do I choose my sport against MMA, or do I choose the Irish fighter who's a fan favorite and an entertaining guy over this villain and Floyd Mayweather?" I mean, so I have these conflicting feelings about it, but altogether, I'm not going to buy the fight.
Right.
I'll watch it on the periphery. I'm sure there'll be a stream for it.
We don't stream on the show.
Oh yeah.
I'm just kidding. Daniel doesn't pay for anything.
I totally. First Row Sports. Shout out.
Exactly. They could be a sponsor someday.
Can you get a sponsorship from a pirate site?
Why not? I mean,
how do they pay you?
Ad
from those fake ads they run, the scam ads.
I mean, like, I'm just saying. Anyway, this conversation shifted into a different territory.
Right.
What do you feel about the fight, Andrew?
Oh, it's a spectacle. It's what fighting is. You go to the Roman Coliseum. It was no boxing. It was just get in there, entertain the fans. That was the purity of it. There was no.
So you don't think this is a sham right now?
It's a fucking spectacle. It's prize fighting. What is boxing? It's prize fighting. What are they fighting for? The biggest prize. The original term, the sweet science, was the sweet science of bruising. Boxing didn't declare a winner before till there was someone that was finished or someone quit. So what we have boxing now is like a limited way of fighting. This is actually, like Conor said, this is a limited form of combat. It's not pure hand-to-hand, man-to-man combat. It's limited with rules and stipulations. But it's a big spectacle, and people want to see it.
Sport, yeah. It went from pure fighting, and it has grown into sport, starting with like the initiation of like the Queensberry rules, and then becoming legitimized into minimizing the amount of rounds to 15 rather than unlimited. So yeah. I like what you're saying.
This is turning into a fucking nerd fucking.
Well, yeah, started to get academic about it, but you started me off with the Coliseum and how it's not.
Well, yeah. So this is a spectacle. Like they always market boxers as gladiators.
So let me ask you this then: do you? And this is both of you. Either one of you can ask. Do you think this is going to hurt boxing? This fight, because here's the framework behind it. The biggest fight right now in boxing is not Floyd and Conor. It's Triple G and Canelo.
What do you mean biggest?
In terms of like
boxing fans who know boxing.
Most important.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think this can go in a couple of ways. either MMA makes boxing look bad if Conor McGregor pulls off some sort of miraculous knockout, of course, right? That's the obvious.
Right.
MMA wins that scenario. If it is a fight how I see it going, which is a typical Floyd Mayweather kind of display of superior defense, but ends up being a boring contest, it's going to hurt boxing in a big way, because we have all these new people that are on board watching this fight, and they're going to be more pissed off than they were any other time they've been pissed off from a Floyd Mayweather fight.
Right.
They're going to once again be duped into paying $100 to watch this thing, be pissed off and be bored. So I don't think it's the one way that boxing wins is if Floyd Mayweather knocks him
kills
out.
him.
Right. We haven't seen that in a while.
He
So
hasn't knocked anybody out since he sucker
Right.
punched Victor Ortiz. And
Right.
before that, I think it was Ricky Hatton.
Well, nothing.
Ricky
It's
Hatton
not.
is right.
It's not going to be good for boxing. It's not going to be bad. Boxing's always going to survive. When Tyson bit off Holyfield's ear, they thought it was dead. That didn't do nothing. Boxing's always going to be a niche sport now, because
it always has been. And the niche.
No, it wasn't always a talent, but boxing was the number one sport at the beginning
But the other
of the
sports
century.
didn't have. It was horse racing and boxing and baseball
No,
back then.
but like
They
up
didn't
until
have- NFL was nothing back then.
like 70s and the 80s, boxing was still at the forefront. Even in the 70s and 80s, when you had the four horsemen of Duran, Leonard, Hagler, Hearns. It wasn't until the talent pool started going into other sports.
That's true.
That boxing started
At the same time,
dying.
those
And
sports
then
were growing their markets.
Well,
but historically, you put even now,
And the
you
television
put-
rights is another
Yes.
thing. Like they used to have. I used to watch boxing on ABC, like worldwide or wide
How
world
old
of
are you?
sports. I'm 37. So
They had that on ABC when you were a kid.
They had that as a kid. Yeah.
Boxing was on
Yeah.
network TV in the 80s. Bob
Well,
Arum.
it's coming back to network TV with PBC bringing it back.
Right.
For those of you who don't know, PBC is Premier Boxing Champions. It's sort of Al Heyman, who's this mysterious man in boxing. He's much talked about, never seen.
It's like talking to Mike.
It's his venture in the promotion game.
Right.
It's a made for TV event in the sense that he buys TV time on various networks and puts on his fights.
The only problem is his fights.
They suck.
His
It
fights
hasn't been
yeah.
successful. Bob Arum just got into a new deal with ESPN.
With ESPN,
so Bob
that's-
Arum's been putting on fights
Right.
on network TV before Al Heyman. It's just,
And those are good fights. If you watch Lomachenko fight,
That was
good.
okay. That was a.
And Terrence Crawford fight next
Terrence
week. Next week,
unifying.
I want everyone to watch that fight too.
He's
That's
unifying
great.
the division, but the Lomachenko was a.
Who's Bud Crawford fighting?
He's fighting Julius Ndongo, South African. He's got 2 belts, so we're gonna have a unified
Yeah.
champion at 140 pounds.
Who's you know the problem with boxing is that Americans don't watch boxing no
Well,
more.
there's no one
Unless you're
invested
black
for
or
them.
Mexican. That's about it. Like
There's no fighter for Americans to get invested into.
Yeah.
See, okay, is this mic working?
Uh-huh.
I want to ask. It's not really a deviation from the topic, but you said he has 2 belts. That's one of my biggest problems with
It's
boxing. is,
frustrating.
like,
I'll explain it.
I don't know how many fucking belts there are. I don't know what belts hold value or weight or what it actually means.
Well, it
something.
used to be the WBC, WBA, IBF were the big belts, and then WBO over the past like 20 years has become like an important belt.
Yeah.
There's other ones though. There's
Only those 4 are the only ones that matter.
And then you
There's
got the,
other
and then you
belts
got the
that
lineal
don't mean-
belt
don't
and the
mean
ring
shit.
belt. That
Yeah. And okay, so lineal champion basically means there's no belt, but it basically means last person who beat the person,
who
meaning
was the champion or something.
who was the undisputed
the
champion.
man who beat the man.
So if you're Bernard Hopkins, Bernard Hopkins at one point had every belt. So a lineal champ. I don't know if the rundown of this particular incident, but whoever would have beaten him, and then even if he doesn't hold the next belt, he's a lineal champion because he was the last person to have beaten a unified champion.
So there
there
people
isn't
people are still getting called champions even though they're not champions anymore.
Well, there isn't necessarily a lineal champion
Like
in every weight
technically,
class at every given point in time.
Canelo's the lineal champion
And
at
it's-
160
it's
because he beat the lineal champion in Cotto that beat the other guy.
why?
That's just how boxing
That's
is.
more of a writers thing. The boxing writers have kind of created that on their own.
because Cotto beat Andrew's ex-boyfriend.
Cotto beat a
Sergio
fucking
Martinez.
bum of a Sergio Martinez on one fucking leg like he beat Yuri Foreman. Don't get me started on fucking Cotto and his sham fucking Hall
Oh,
of
because
Fame
Yuri
career.
Foreman was doing so well.
Yuri
at the
Foreman
beginning
was
of
on
that
a
fight.
fucking other bum knee and Cotto got walked into another title. Don't get me started on his fucking sham career.
His fucking knee got buckled. He broke his knee because Cotto knocked him down, and that fucking.
He already had a bum knee. Cotto's won two
Is
vacant
Miguel
titles.
Cotto your favorite fighter?
He's
Gian?
not
Rican.
my favorite fighter, but I'm Puerto Rican, and he's like
Right.
the last great Puerto Rican fighter.
He's
Well, the
not-
current great. There'll be another one.
Yeah.
Nah, not really. The other guys.
Well, the last great was Tito.
Yep.
Trinidad.
Tito Trinidad.
got butt fucked by Hopkins.
I met what's his name one time.
That was an abuse of the rules.
What's his fucking name? Kodo. He's tiny.
He's
I-
gay
Yeah,
too.
he's 5'7" and a half.
Fought at 147 for most of his career. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm just saying,
No,
like,
he's a small guy.
when I see him on the screen, I picture him to be bigger than me, but he's tinier than me. I'm sure he could fuck me up in
People
a
are
heartbeat.
always
but I'm
amazed
just
by
saying-
that when they watch boxing because these guys, like, first of all, they're pushing the limits of that weight class because they're all
Right.
dried out at day of weigh-in, and then they put on about 15 pounds in the 24 hours before the fight. But you'll be watching TV with someone and they'll be like, "You're telling me that guy's 160? He looks, 200 pounds." Because I mean, it's
They're
always
jacked.
yeah.
But I don't know. It's funny how guys equate height with the boxers. When if you look at the weight class, okay, a guy's at 147. He's not going to be taller than really 5'9" or 5'10".
Well, I don't even think about it. I just
Yeah.
see them. That's what I'm saying.
Well, and they're standing next to each other too. They
Yeah.
got that. But not only that, even I met what's his face, Chael Sonnen a few years back, and
I don't know how tall he is. Or how
well,
big
he's
he is.
taller than me, but he's not big. He's not a
He's
big
not big.
guy.
When I used to roll at Dave Camarillo's gym, a lot of fighters in there. I'm a pretty good size. I'm taller and bigger than a lot of the guys too that I rolled with, or the fighters that would go in there, that are like 180 lower weight classes. Some of the guys at 205, they're just like, you don't see till you see them up close and personal.
So
I
when
mean,
you,
there was guys at USC like linemen who were listed at 290, and then when you saw him, you're like, this dude's 290.
yeah, no,
People
I
lie on the college
Well, that too,
rosters all the time.
but not just that. But even if they're 260, they don't because they're
Yeah.
long, because they're tall. They weigh that much, but they're not.
when I hear Brock Lesnar, like when he comes
No,
in
that
at
dude,
2-
I know that motherfucker's huge.
He's
Yeah.
a big fucking guy.
But I'm saying, like, when I hear someone, I'm 260, whatever, I picture Brock Lesnar. And then when you don't meet that standard, even though he's a freak, it always feels
Brock
weird.
Lesnar,
Well, he
is
also
like
cuts.
fucking-
He has to
he's
cut
like
20
at
pounds
walking
to
at
get
like
to that
310
Yeah.
pounds.
He might come back. I don't want to turn this into an MMA discussion, but
No, it's a combat sports. If you like combat sports, you like both. I never got into the
Right.
boxing's better than other. If you like combat and if you
I don't know, Garrity.
Which one's
I
your
don't know
favorite
if
though?
you're-
No, I like both. I like MMA. I just love boxing.
You know what you hate though? You hate the microphone.
Sorry.
I don't have a particular favorite. I just love combat. When I see two fighters going, there's a difference between a boxer and a fighter, in my opinion, though.
Of course.
So when I
Yeah.
see two fighters,
I don't even think.
I appreciate that. I appreciate guys that go in there and try to hurt and finish their opponent.
Favorite fighter of our generation?
boxer.
Fighter. Meaning a boxer that isn't. So when you say in the boxing world, when you say boxing or fighting, we're talking about someone who's using, like, staying on the outside, using moves, slipping a lot, being more of an artist. And when you talk
So
about
who,
fight,
Floyd?
yes. When you're talking about a fighter, if you're distinguishing in conversation, you're talking about a guy who puts his nose on someone's chest and just bangs away. Like, that's kind of the.
The last
he's
in
gonna
the
throw a
last 20,
Mexican
like
fighter
no,
on
the,
it.
Oh yeah,
my
Mexicans, all
favorite,
the
my
Mexican
favorite,
fighters
no,
are
my favorite
badass.
fighter, but he's also a boxer. Like is Roberto Duran, but
I learned a lot about him in that
Roberto
movie.
Duran's a
Wait, he's
Roberto
talking like this general. What do you mean?
I
by
meant this
like the
generation.
last
There's
10,
My
15
favorite
years?
fighter, like just straight
in
up
your
fighter,
generation, then, and our
is-
me and you.
like that you would have watched on HBO. Like
In the last
mine
15
would be
years?
Marcos Maidana. I really admire his.
well,
give a time
stamp
in,
for.
in the last, I'd say
that you actually watched live. That's good
Sergio
enough.
Martinez.
Okay,
And Sergio Martinez is a
look
fighter.
at
and
that. Two Argentines.
Sergio Martinez is he's
Yeah.
both.
Yeah.
But then a true boxer tries to finish his opponent. This new stuff of Olympic style fight boxing did not become relevant till like the middle of the 90s. Before, boxers still used to try to finish their opponent. They tried to hurt their opponent. They weren't satisfied with just pointing to win.
See, I can't
I don't know about
necessarily
that.
I can't jump on board with choosing boxing over MMA at this point. Just because for me, when I do, because obviously I don't, like you always tell me, people just don't know what fights are going to happen this weekend. There's no investment. There's no like people that you can actually stand behind, unless you're in the world or like you said, you're Mexican or whatever.
We do a bad job of promoting it. We do.
Well, the problem
yeah.
with that is when I finally do watch a fight, like if Floyd's fighting someone, it's fucking boring.
Yeah.
And then the thing is, like, the things that Floyd does, if you were to put him in the fucking octagon, they'd be thrown out the door immediately. You want to try to hold someone? Okay, I'm going to throw your ass to the ground. Like, that's why I love MMA, because there's no roadblocks. Like, once you throw an obstacle out there, my job is to counter
But it's
that.
like it's like with anything you're interested in. If you find something that you like, you're gonna invest to
right.
see.
The more you know, the better.
Like if you like
think
this
you have a bad
Lomachenko
cable.
fight this last weekend, it was good, but his fight with Nicholas Walters was better because he was just painting a masterpiece and he made the guy quit. So I can't pick either or. Boxing's had a better year than MMA this year. Last year boxing was trash. All the fucking matchups were horrible. There was too much politics going on.
You know, the one thing I gotta say when it comes to this shit is like a good boxing match is better than the best MMA match. For me,
Oh, absolutely.
it's much better. You know, there's more action, there's more drama to it. Like MMA.
Because the best MMA match looks like the other great MMA match. Like it's very predictable. Someone's gonna get knocked out. You're gonna hit with a 2-ounce glove.
And not just
the best MMA fights are stand up.
Yeah.
Like when
Right,
I
but
don't know if you saw the Henderson Shogun. Those are fucking.
I don't think I did.
Those are they're like Gotti Wards.
Those are classics. Yeah, they're wars.
And those are the ones. Those are the ones that the fans want to. Casual fans want to see that.
Do you think people like the stand-up element of MMA the most?
Of course.
yeah,
So what's
grappling-
interesting is MMA is supposedly more popular right now, but the element
it's the whole stand-up.
The
It's
best
the
part
whole
of it is
stand-up.
the part that is
Yeah.
It's
most
that-
similar to boxing.
But no, it's the combination of you can elbow, you can kick. It's the whole when people see wheel kicks
Yeah.
and the whole ensemble of a stand-up fighter, that's more entertaining to the casual fan.
Well, I also think it has to do with like there's more finishes in MMA as well. Like guys get finished. There's a lot of point fighters in boxing right now, and I think the finishing like really gets people on board. And that just that element, like maybe you don't have to go to the ground and submit someone, but just knowing that it's there gets people excited. You know. However, like pure grappling, it's fucking. There's a reason why there's there's only one kind of professional wrestling, and it's WWE. You know. And wrestling sticks to the Olympics.
Yeah,
It's
there's
'cause
a
it's
reason why
boring as fuck.
wrestling was kicked out of the Olympics for
Yeah.
Which was so like that was a travesty that they took it out for a cycle, right?
yeah. Because good wrestling's entertaining, but with MMA,
And it's also like one of the most. It's like one of the original Greek sports that
if they don't
belongs
if
to
they
the
don't-
Olympics
if
for
they don't
eternity.
implement
That's
like
wrong.
a ground card, like a yellow card on the ground, like you should be on the ground for like 45 seconds at the most. If you're not trying to pass, if you're not really trying to finish your opponent on the ground, stand them up.
Yeah, the unified MMA rules need to
pretty
change
trash.
quite a bit. But
Yeah, I have no. I
no,
don't know
why
what
don't
that
we
is at
why
all.
don't we get into the fight? Let's break
This
it
is
down.
actually going to lead. I have a segue for it. So, sorry to interrupt. But do you think, and this goes to, in MMA, you get a knockdown. If Conor knocks down Nate Diaz, he can go to the ground and then they can stand him up or whatever. There's no 10 count, right? So, if the off chance that if Conor hits Floyd with something, that 10 count, and what is it, 3 knockdowns in a round?
It's up
is-
to the referee's discretion.
Yeah, so every state has a different set of rules, and I
think
believe in
New York-
Nevada. I believe in Nevada they don't have that anymore.
They have a
Most
three,
states
no,
don't
they
have it
a th-
anymore.
It's not a championship fight, so there is no. It's just at the
So
discretion
we'll
of.
hear the rules the night of because
It's at the discretion of that fight, of the particular fight.
As
And
far as I
in
know,
a mega fight like this, they'll have talked about this
Yeah.
at the contract signing.
Yeah. And I think New York is the only state that still has a 3 knockdown rule.
Oh, so maybe I'm just way out of boxing. Then,
Yeah,
'cause I thought
you're-
that
No,
was,
that's fine. The fact that you know it has 3 knockdown rules because it's talked about even when it isn't in place because they say no 3 knockdown rule because it's been so ingrained in the history of boxing.
isn't that why they stopped the heavyweight championship fight because it was 3 knockdowns in a round?
What's
He
going to
was just-
happen is the referee can call a technical knockout whenever he wants. If he realizes this guy is taking too much of a beating, so by the time he gets knocked out that 3rd time, he could very well have ended the fight because he knows it's dangerous.
And
at that point,
I mean, if you talk about the Klitschko Joshua fight, I don't.
That's what I was talking
Yeah,
about.
the Klitschko
I mean, he was
wasn't
knocked
coming
out.
back from
Yeah,
that.
that was-
Yeah.
I think they could have let it go a little longer though. That fight, just let Klitschko had enough cash to let him go out on his shield.
so I have
just
a
to
cool
let him go
story.
out like that.
I met Vladimir Klitschko when I was a little boy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really, really cool. I was at a Dodger game. It was 2003, so it was like the running of the torch through LA.
Yeah.
And it was at an event that we were in the same seating area as them because we were with the mayor's office at the time. My dad used to work for the mayor. And I had just started boxing. I've been boxing for maybe about a year or so. And I was like so stoked to meet, because I didn't know as much boxing as I know now, but like I definitely knew who the heavyweight champion was, and that was his brother, Vitaly. And so I
Right.
met Vitaly briefly, and I met Vladimir too, but he was the younger brother who didn't like have as much like obligations to do that night as far as like speaking and whatnot. And so I just like fired away, asked him questions. He told me all about like, I don't know, just different things about amateur boxing and stuff, and it was really kind of cool. And then watching his career later, it was all something that I was remember. I was just kicking it with him before he was a champion, you know.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. Dr. Steelhammer himself. He seems like a nice guy too.
Oh, he's a guy. He's a very good ambassador for the sport. Very good,
sure.
classy guy.
I mean, he seemed to retire at the right time.
Also boring as fuck.
Right.
Some of his early
What
his early fights are good. It's just once he got knocked out, he pulled the George. He had that George St. Pierre thing. Once he got knocked out, it was a little tentative.
I blame
at certain
Emmanuel
times.
Stewart.
No, Manuel. He'd have been a lot better if he had a Manny Stewart still.
R.I.P.
He wasn't like Vitali. Vitali was mean. Like a prime Vitali would fucking walk through Anthony Joshua.
But also, the other thing is Vitali was a better defensive fighter too. He wasn't as good offensively, but his defense made up for it. And I think he's more of a pit bull. He's the older brother. Older brothers are always a little meaner, I think.
So I think we should get back into the fight. I fucked up.
So what about the fight?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I want to talk about the recent, things about the fight, about the whole Paulie thing.
Yeah, like it's turning into a fucking circus. I mean, it was
That's
already
what
a
it's supposed to
circus,
be, yeah.
but it's becoming an even bigger circus.
But you're
now.
getting all the entertainment up front. I'm afraid this fight's gonna be boring as hell.
Oh, name a Floyd fight that was exciting. The last one you saw, that
Right,
was
like when he was
exciting.
fighting at 135, probably like back in the day when he had to fight people, you know.
I mean, I think the fight
Or I
versus the Cotto fight was pretty good. I think that's like the last time he was actually trying to stay in the pocket.
Yeah.
A little bit more. And that I think that was his last like that. That it wasn't. He wasn't like just.
I would
he wasn't just throwing one or two punches.
I would
around.
say the first Maidana fight too was good, because Maidana.
That was a good fight.
That was a good fight.
But was it good because Maidana was fucking?
Well, it's good because
putting it on
Maidana's
him?
going to throw 60 to 70 punches around.
And I mean, to be honest, I didn't see these fights, but I did see the De La Hoya fight. And I bring that up. I only bring that up because that was my first Floyd fight that I remember.
Most people's.
And I remember it being like, all right, it's a kind of a back and forth affair. I felt like at the time Floyd was winning, but I felt at least there was pressure being put on him. And I only used this as a reference because all of the fights after this, it was just this, from Floyd. That was it. Like I feel like that fight, from when he turned from Pretty Boy to Money. Mayweather, it was all about ducking and all this shit.
Well, he says it. He blatantly. He's like, I took the fights that were the best financial decisions, and he wasn't led by competition.
He still worked Canelo.
So Floyd's great for himself, but he's horrible for the sport of boxing.
He still worked
So
Canelo.
what he did to Canelo is what's gonna happen with.
Well,
against
Canelo
Conor.
was weight drained that fight too, though.
So
Canelo.
They
had
fought at
no-
one.
They
They
won
fought
at
at 154.
They fought at 152.
52.
Yeah.
So he was 2 pounds under,
But
and he
that's-
was smaller back then. That was 5
Canelo
years ago.
was-
He was
and
small
you know
back
what? Canelo didn't go back to 154 at all after that fight. He kept at catch weights after that.
then. 155. Yeah.
Oh, it's 1 pound
It
though.
was
Canelo's
Canelo
huge.
weight.
Canelo 155, 150. Canelo was weight drained that fight. You saw him sucked in at the with the blisters on his lips at the.
Anyway,
at the fight.
what Floyd did to Canelo, who's an amazing boxer, one of the best. Golden Boy wants to say he's the best, but like
Canelo's
still
not even
have-
the top 10 pound for pound fighter.
Right, but here's the point: that if he's gonna make him miss and look stupid all night, like what's gonna happen with Conor
I
McGregor?
mean-
I feel like Canelo's style is tailor made
Yeah,
for Floyd.
where
though.
Canelo
'Cause
tried to box.
He comes forward. He can't cut off the ring.
Canelo has
know.
horrible. You can't athlete for athlete. Conor's light years ahead of Canelo as an athlete. Canelo is flat-footed. He doesn't
Well, I
know
hope
how to.
so.
He doesn't know how to cut off the ring to save his life. His great lateral movement from his upper body, I'll give him that. But Canelo has never been in there with a good fighter until he fought Floyd.
He beat Cotto though.
Cotto, he fucking couldn't even hurt Cotto, and Cotto was
Still
fucking
won.
over the hill.
Still won.
Canelo has no power.
I'm not saying anything.
No, I'm giving it to you straight.
Canelo's got pillow hands.
He's got pillow hand. Canelo looks good like when he's got a guy that's walking in front of him like Angulo. He can put 4 or 5 punches together. But any kind of movement from a fighter, Canelo looks fucking rudimentary.
Well, let's bring it back to Conor here, because I mean, Conor, from the videos that I've seen, his fighting style is a little bit unorthodox, and I don't know how that.
Wide
helps.
feet.
It's a lot unorthodox.
Well, I was over exaggerating. I was being
Give him a break. He's
sarcastic, I mean.
newbie.
But well, no. My question is, does that present an obstacle for Floyd? Because you can't watch a Conor tape, you can't study his movements.
Here's the one thing I want to say about Floyd. He is the smartest fucking boxer around. So I think Conor might give him some trouble the first couple rounds, But I feel like if Floyd, it takes him 2-3 rounds, he figures you out, and then it's a wrap.
Floyd generally
People
starts
really-
late. Floyd don't start putting in work till about the 3rd or 4th round. He fucking puts he's dissecting your movement. He's setting traps for you those first 2-3 rounds, and then he's working on getting your timing.
So what if Conor doesn't put any effort into the first few rounds?
It's gonna be It's gonna be a process of them filling each other out for that first round.
Yeah,
or two.
the first few rounds are gonna be boring as fuck. Because the one thing that everybody's missing out on is that Conor is a fucking counter puncher. He does not put pressure on people. Floyd doesn't put pressure on people. So it's gonna be a weird like.
It's gonna be.
I think that maybe the first couple rounds might be the only exciting ones, because those people who are still have hope that Conor might pull off a knockout. There'll be those exciting moments where Floyd's still figuring them out, figuring out the distance and
he might
figuring
land a
out the
shot
timing.
or two.
Yeah, those will be the exciting rounds, and then 5 through 6, 5 and on is just going to be completely boring, and people are going to be
So
disappointed.
if Conor knocks Floyd out, what does that do for the world of boxing, and then what does it do for Floyd's legacy?
Bad for both, I would say.
You can't touch Floyd's legacy from 135 down.
Yeah, but
Ever since he moved up, Floyd's been different. He's a 40-year-old man now. So you can't. I don't put much stock into ruining his legacy, because if you watch Floyd fight before, Floyd used to put 4 or 5. He used to be an entertaining fighter. Floyd used to be a fighter. So it's a money.
What does
grab.
it do for the sport of boxing then?
It does raise the elevation. Conor would probably stay in by. He'll probably do one more fight.
Totally.
It helps boxing.
See, here's the thing that's kind of bothering me about all this is like, why the fuck doesn't Conor get any fucking credit if he does it? Like, why doesn't this just elevate?
No, he'll get
why
credit.
Doesn't this elevate Conor? Like, this is how fucking talented this
He would,
dude
because
is.
he would end up continuing to box, so he would take that role and be the the go-to guy. It would hurt it hurt the boxing world's ego.
It hurt the boxing world,
But it would help him, and he would be a boxer from then on.
But it's still Conor.
Because the money, he would never make that money in the UFC.
It's still Conor beating
he's
up
gonna-
a smaller guy, though.
He's gonna fight this year in UFC. Dana White already said.
Now, if this was Conor beating fucking,
If he knocks out Floyd, he ain't never going to step back in the octagon
he's not.
again.
Well, he has a contract though.
Well, what's he gonna lose?
No,
on that contract?
but that
What's he gonna-
contract
Those
is gonna
contracts are paper
that
thin.
contract is gonna say WME's gonna be like, damn, we can get more money him boxing than put him in the octagon. Let's put him in the octagon. Let's put him in the ring.
But I don't know if the fans would get behind
It doesn't.
that.
Shh.
I don't know.
He's got a
Truthfully-
whole country behind
He's got a
him
whole
right
country.
now.
Well, see, but here's the thing, though. I'm going to be real about it. I think people like this fight because no one likes Floyd, and
No one likes. A lot of people don't like Conor either.
Well, hold
They're
on,
kinda the
hold
same
on,
guy, in
hold
my
on, hold
opinion.
on, hold on.
Mexicans don't like Conor.
Sure, whatever. I like Conor, but the point is, though, if
Mexicans don't like
they
Floyd,
like him,
I
they,
hate Floyd.
But they like boxing more than they like
they
MMA.
like MMA. They like Conor in the UFC. This one-off is to beat Floyd Money Mayweather. I personally think, yeah, he can have boxing on the side, but he's not going to throw it away, I don't think.
Yes, you mean to tell me him fighting Paulie Malignaggi next after Paulie's talking all this shit and he wins? That's not going to be a $2 million pay-per-view
I
fight.
did not say that he would not continue to box.
He'll make
I'm saying-
more money for the UFC
Sure.
boxing than he will in
but
MMA.
he's not going to stop fighting in the MMA. That's
don't know
what I'm
that.
saying. I believe that.
He has more control now fighting in boxing.
You know what?
Why couldn't he do
don't-
both?
We don't even know that he might not fucking
Fight
I
after
think
this.
He might not even fight ever again after this fight. We don't know that because of how much money he's making.
Dana White had, well, like I
yeah,
said,
Dana White says a lot of things.
yeah, but if you're under contract, you're under contract.
You're under contract.
They
Yeah,
said-
but the
mean
contract's like you don't have to fucking fight on the contract. They can't sue you if you retire.
Because all that you'd have to happen is injure your wrist and you'd be out, or have some sort of injury and you can get out of that contract.
Sure, I'm just saying though, like if we're gonna speculate, at least
The
speculate
only thing
within
that
the realm
contract,
of
the only
reality
thing the
here.
contract does.
That he's gonna win the fight. We're already out of the realm of reality.
You say that now,
The-
I still think he's gonna fucking
Of course,
win.
everyone has a puncher's chance, and I
No,
want to
I
believe that.
honestly think something fishy.
I'm rooting for a good
fight.
fight. I'm rooting for a good fight. Of course,
We're gonna see some controversy. That's what.
Well, here's what I've been hearing. I hear that Floyd looks like shit right now. He looks terrible.
believe that.
Training.
He just did a live stream today where he had his training session.
That's just
on,
a media workout. That's
him
nothing.
hitting
You're
the
not gonna
bags,
get.
hitting him in the mitts and shit. That's nothing.
I know Floyd hasn't been in camp as much as other fights. He's been in Miami, been hanging out. He's been hanging out more. But Floyd's always sharp. You never. Have
he's
to
the
worry
kind of guy
about-
that doesn't let you know he's working hard.
well, he's also
When he got out of prison, he was still just as good condition.
he's
as-
40 years old. He hasn't fought in a couple years, and he might not be taking Conor serious.
Well, he's
So-
he's in shape though. He got his IVs. He's got his to drain his PEDs that he uses, so he's fine.
What do you think about that, Garrity? He thinks that Floyd's a big time PED.
Well, I know he
user.
is.
You know he is?
The records were sealed. They subpoenaed and silenced several boxing writers when they brought it up. When Manny sued Floyd Mayweather for defamation, Manny's lawyer subpoenaed Floyd's drug test. The minute Manny's lawyer subpoenaed Floyd's drug test, Floyd's lawyers requested a settlement, and they settled for like 3 or 4 times the amount Manny's team was asking. The minute Manny's lawyers
So I did not
asked
know about any of that, but I wouldn't be surprised if if there's anyone who could silence and has enough power in the sport, it would be him. Going back to that fight, the Chino Maidana fight, which we thought was a great fight because it was the closest someone had gotten in a long time to beating Floyd Mayweather. If you remember the controversy back then, Marcos Maidana wanted to use the MX gloves. So the reason why this matters, guys, is in boxing you can pick various brands have different gloves, different designs, and there's some gloves that are known as like the puncher's glove. So Cleto Reyes is known as the puncher's glove because it is thinner in the actual padded point, and more of the weight is down here. So it's made for knockouts, basically.
Right.
A lot of those the punchers they're horsehair gloves.
Not anymore, but they had been. But anyway, so he wanted to use his Everlast MX, which is their answer to the Cleto Reyes glove. And he was going to use, he had been approved to use this. And then the day before the fight, when they're actually doing the glove inspection, whatever, the powers that be didn't allow Marcos Maidana use his own gloves.
Well, they gave Marcos $1.5 million to not use those gloves in the rematch.
Right,
And they gave him like a quarter. I want to say 300,000 or 400,000 extra in the first fight.
That doesn't bother you guys though?
No, that's part.
What?
When you're the A side, you could dictate whatever you want to dictate.
I understand that wholeheartedly.
I feel like that is actually something that turns off people from boxing.
It does.
It does 100% because I don't give a shit about the A side. I understand the point of it. Trust me, I really do. Because if you're on that side, you're gonna want to take all the advantages that you possibly can. I really, really get that. But if I'm a spectator, I don't give a fuck about gloves or whatever the fuck. If you're so fucking good.
You want an even playing field.
Then use whatever you want because you're the best. If you're the best, be the best.
The added saying, if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying.
And that's what the UFC did right, though. They basically treated everyone as like,
I know they can only wear Reebok gear.
You guys are all just pieces in our system, and we're gonna use you however we want.
That's gonna change.
And you think that's gonna change?
Well, if they expand the Ali Act to MMA, they're gonna overhaul the whole.
Wasn't that how Conor got this fight because of that?
Well, no, Conor. They looked at it. The
UFC is making a lot of fucking money.
WME's applying the pressure to the UFC to make money on that $4 billion investment.
What isn't it? But I'm saying, wasn't he even allowed to fight because of that?
They saw how much they did the analytics and they saw how much money this fight's gonna make. So like, okay, go ahead.
But I'm just saying, though, legally, he was only allowed to do that because he was
got
still under contract.
No, it wasn't that. He got their permission.
So Ali Act, I know it's some of that law covers, but I don't know what the portion you're referring to.
Basically, if you're in one sport, your contract binds you to one sport, but you can do
Ali
another
Act
sport.
is your manager and your promoter can't act like the same entity.
That's one of the laws.
That's the main
within
provision.
The law,
That's
right?
that's the one that.
That's the one that said that Dana White has no jurisdiction over his.
Well, Conor
sport.
just did that to like try to see if he can circumvent his contract, but his contract's.
Didn't the money convince him?
It was the money
because
his boxing license didn't precede his MMA contract.
See, and here's what I think would have happened with that is Conor eventually would have been able to fight, but Dana and the UFC's fucking lawyers would have held up the fight for fucking years.
And then Floyd would have been 45. And you can't fight
until
him
it just
at that
didn't matter anymore. Like that's like so they had to come to an agreement because if not, that's just the beauty and the shitty part about our legal system here is like you can stop things from happening without winning. Like you might lose the case, but you can stop it by
if you have enough money.
If you have enough money to bring the lawyers in,
that's
kind of what filing motions.
That's kind of what happened with the Pacquiao fight. They aged him out a little bit.
See,
that took 7 years to build that fight.
I'm glad you asked about Pacquiao.
And then eventually Pacquiao's an old man, and then they fight, and it's a different Pacquiao.
So I'm also suspicious of him and PEDs.
That would have been the same outcome if he fought Floyd in his prime too, though.
Well, so if it was Floyd Manny 2 in this August as opposed to Floyd Conor, and no
one would tune in.
But I'm just saying, and Pacquiao knocked him out. It would be the same argument. It doesn't matter that it's who's knocking Floyd out. It's he's still old. He's still all the arguments that you have against Conor, like actually earning.
No, I mean Conor. You'd be impressed But you're not going to put him in the pantheon of fucking boxers because he knocked out an old Floyd. That's just not going to happen. You know what I mean?
You can never remove their names from each
I don't
other,
know. I
though.
think that's a pretty. I don't know. I
You'll
think
give
that's
him
pretty.
he'll get a lot of
pretty
credit.
A hot debut to knock out the world's best boxer.
I
think
mean,
he
it's
would.
subjective. Is he better than Andre Ward right now? No, he's not.
We would love to see Andre Ward fight a little more. I mean, that's.
Andre Ward just butt fucked Sergey Kovalev and made him. He crushed the Crusher. And this is a
Let
first.
the record be known
You're
that this
right,
is
you're
the
right.
first time Andrew has ever spoken any good of Andre
I haven't
Ward.
given him credit since he entered. After the Sakio Bika fight, I just got fucking tired of Andre Ward's shenanigans. But Errol Spence kicked Floyd Mayweather's ass in sparring, left him a black eye, and they kicked him out of fucking Mayweather gym.
Well,
What fight
supposedly
did that happen for?
That was for the Berto fight.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, supposedly
And then
Berto fight was such a yawn,
man. Floyd wanted to sign Spence after that. Spence said no. So Floyd is at this time. Floyd is not the best boxer in the world.
Well, Conor supposedly beat Paulie in those spars.
Pauly's been retired.
Well, let's see.
Let's talk about that.
Let's talk about that. Yeah, like I've been hearing shit on the. I've actually heard from different accounts. Like everybody's got a different fucking story. And I heard today on TFATK they were talking about it, and they were saying, Paulie. The only reason why Conor brought Paulie in, and he straight up said it, was because he wanted to fucking put a hurting on him. Because 6 months ago, Paulie was
Conor
talking
wanted
shit.
to hurt him.
Pauly was talking
Conor
shit.
wanted to talk shit. Paulie said that he could beat Conor with one arm tied behind his back. And Conor's one of those guys that doesn't forgive or forget anything. Yeah. So he might have taken some cheap shots at him. We don't know exactly what happened, but Conor was definitely in there.
And my sources said Pauly got his ass kicked, what they're hearing. The guys I talked
So
to
he
that
did
are
win,
scribes. It's sparring. There's no
So I believe there something cheap happened. But anyway, even if you knock someone down sparring, the most sophomoric, childish thing to do is to take a picture of it and post it on Facebook.
I also heard
whatever.
that
was ridiculous.
That wasn't McGregor's camp that put those pictures up. Somebody else did.
Who would have been there that's not part of the
the
camp?
UFC.
The UFC. Somebody else put that.
Well, there was a battle going on between UFC and Showtime. Showtime was doing
You're posting
shady
it
shit.
for Conor's benefit. If you're Conor, you don't let people post your
Well,
sparring.
absolutely.
In the boxing world, let's let you know, you don't do that kind of thing anyway.
Oh, they're
No.
doing it
Even
now.
on my level,
but they're
you
doing
don't-
it. They're
Typically,
doing
you
it
post
now.
a picture of you and the sparring partner afterwards saying, like, great sparring with my mate, like, good luck in his fight,
Right.
good luck in my fight. You don't really post stuff of, like, look at me at sparring kicking this guy's ass.
Right.
That's just not a move anyone pulls off. It's like a gentleman thing that
Well, I don't think it was
encountered
Conor's.
in
I don't
this.
think it was Conor's thing.
Right. Well,
I think it was just
It's to
someone.
the benefit of Conor, so someone's doing it for him.
Yeah, well,
It's
he's not
just
going to
terrible.
stop him from doing it.
That's
now
Paulie's fault.
Yeah.
Paulie should have known. He ran his mouth and
Wasn't this the second time it happened? Didn't they do the same shit?
No, the first time they brought him in, and then he only sparred 2 rounds.
Yeah.
But
And
they
had him
leaked the
there,
whole video,
and they made
though.
him. No,
There was a whole video.
somebody cut together a video of another boxer.
Yeah.
and that guy. And I mean, this part of me is thinking that the boxers are like so defensive of sparring with an MMA guy that they're getting pissed off that like, oh, what the fuck's this guy trying to make me look bad? But we don't know the truth.
All right,
you know what
guys,
I mean?
there's another video that no one's mentioned yet. He sparred with Chris Van Heerden. Like,
the South African
that
guy,
was
right?
South Africa over a
Yeah.
year ago. That guy's a middleweight. Yeah,
no, he's 147.
is he?
Well,
Yeah.
Like, doesn't really matter. But what's your point? What's up?
It would,
What's
yeah, it
about
would matter
this
if he was
video?
middleweight. That would be a big
Oh.
difference.
That doesn't matter
Conor
to
didn't
me.
look that impressive in that. No one talks shit about that. I feel like
Right.
people don't bring that up.
Well, he
enough.
wasn't going to box. I mean, you can if you want, but to be fair to Conor, that was a year ago. He wasn't even thinking about boxing.
He was because he was getting ready for this fight.
Yeah,
I mean, he
but
was
I mean,
trying to
A
make this
year-
fight happen.
It was a year ago.
He was trying to
Yeah,
make this
a
fight
year
happen.
ago.
He'd been talking about this for a long time, for more than a year.
But everybody changes in a year. I feel like at some point he's gotten better. He's
Oh,
had to
yeah.
have
I mean, we don't.
gotten
know.
better.
I don't. I'm not saying that Conor's going to win, but the guys. We got to admit that the guy's a fucking freak. He's a fucking
Oh, yeah.
freak athlete.
And in this fight, Conor has every advantage except boxing. No, you put
The
it.
mental advantage, he has a mental advantage.
He has a mental advantage. As far as like
Yeah. Boxing's a big element in
The
this
mental
contest,
advantage
though.
is this is the first time Floyd's been across the ring from someone that could, a man
Kill
to
him.
man,
Kill
could
him.
kick your
Or
ass.
someone that believes it.
No, I'm saying like
No,
like
Conor
Floyd,
would
like
kill
Conor
Floyd.
said, if we were really in combat, I'd fuck you up. This
Yeah,
is the first time
with the legs. Yeah, of course.
No, I'm just saying, man to man.
Obvious.
Your ego, as a man to man, not even get yourself out of the boxing ring. You stand across another man, and that man can physically fuck you up,
Like-
and you know it.
I can't look Andrew in the eyes and like really talk shit because I know he'd
So
probably.
this is the first time mentally.
there are 7th graders that fucking Daniel can't do that with.
But you put a 6th grader in front of me.
so
I know
Yeah, what I'm saying is, mentally, Conor has that edge.
he's younger.
He's physically stronger. He's
a southpaw. Isn't that a bit?
I'm saying all the physical attributes favor just because Floyd's 40. I'd put Conor's reflexes above 40 just because of age.
Oh, I don't know about the reflexes part though.
I'm talking about as far as like being young and being able to catch. The age is what I'm talking about. His reflexes are just at a quicker rate than Conor.
So from a nature standpoint, he has the advantage. But I think
that's it.
I think Floyd's like skills and years put into being a defensive fighter is leagues above.
No,
Conor
I don't
and
disagree
anyone
with you,
else.
but at some point, those reflexes don't kick in like Vladimir said. At some point, I can't pull the trigger as quick as I used to. I see everything I need to do. I'm computing everything the same, but I just I can't. I just
don't think that a guy who's been boxing for, let's say, a year. I mean, he of course he was a boxer before in MMA when he was a boy.
Still a fighter,
right? But I don't think anyone can get caught up to speed in that short amount of time.
Definitely not.
Definitely not. At Floyd's level when it comes to
I'm talking
reactions.
about reflex. Conor's doing a whole different kind of reflex. His reflexes are way more in tune than Floyd's just having to worry about punches. Conor's reflexes have every different part. So reflexes of seeing something coming. Conor's had to do more. And I'm saying at this age, at 29, his reflexes are better than a 40-year-old man's reflexes.
And he's got less like.
We'll see. That we'll see in the first couple rounds.
Who's the better athlete right now?
Conor.
Conor's better.
That's all I'm saying.
Better boxers.
Floyd's the better boxer. That's it. All the other attributes of being athletic, being stronger, being faster, being in their physical prime all lean towards Conor. So he has to figure out a way to use those.
How old is he? 27?
Conor's 29.
29.
Yeah, he just turned
So he has to
29.
figure a way to use those.
That's prime in boxing. Honestly.
He has to figure a way to use those because Floyd's not going to want to tie up with him. Floyd, this is a guy that's physically bigger than him and can push him around.
I don't think it'll even happen. I don't think he'll figure out the jab. Like I don't think he's gonna. I don't know.
Who's he?
Well,
You don't think Conor will figure it out?
Well,
Yeah,
Floyd,
but I don't want-
Floyd throws 3 jabs a fucking fight, man. Floyd doesn't jab. Floyd
Floyd
a
does
lead-
exactly what he needs to do.
Floyd
Though.
he hits with the lead right. That's.
I feel like
that's
I'm being
his
too.
main
I feel like I'm
punch.
being. If I'm sounding like a Floyd fanboy. I also hate Floyd. So
No,
I don't want to.
You're defending
defending my
boxing.
sport.
No, I don't hate Floyd. I dislike.
I love watching his boxing,
I
but I'm
dislike
not really a fan of it.
what he is for the sport, but I appreciate his craft.
Right.
I just don't like that he doesn't go the extra when he only throws 1 punch when he can throw 3.
See that's always annoyed me
Economy
when you do the bare minimum, so because you know you're getting the points.
Well, you're afraid to get caught. You're afraid to take a
Well,
risk.
it's like Tyron Woodley just did.
and that's why he's not going to be having the fights that he was planning to
No.
get. And
No,
that's
not
why
at all.
Dana. This is a good point. This is why Dana is so fucking great, as opposed to whatever happened in boxing. This whole thing about Pacquiao, Mayweather, or any other super Triple G, Canelo. If there was a Dana White in boxing, this shit would have happened day one. There'd be no, Bob, like all these heads, like, oh, we need to make
Boxing's
more money.
a free market with many promoters.
That's bullshit.
Right.
It doesn't make
No,
it a
no,
good
no,
sport.
I'm
that's
saying
a
this.
big- that's a
I'm
big
saying
part of
this
it.
is the just the nature of it.
And that's why I hate it.
It's problematic, but I'm just saying, it can't happen at this point.
Like Golden Boy
Losing too many years.
fighters won't fight top rank fighters, like because Bob Arum and De La Hoya hate each other.
So then why do you change that? Wait till they both die? Like,
I mean,
actually, though, I think they are
It
talking
depends.
again.
It depends. Like,
well, they hate Floyd so
You could
much, and they
like-
hate this fight like that. Yeah,
I like-
now they're
I like
starting to-
MMA.
No, like 2015, I think they started talking again.
Huh?
MMA doesn't have a buzz like it did like with Pride to me, or like when when it was really like fun to watch. Now it's look at what's the biggest event in combat sports. It's an MMA guy going to boxing. Boxing's always when you put a great boxing event on, it trumps a MMA fight. It always will.
I 100% agree.
All the MMA guys are gonna be so jealous. Like, why does he get to make all that money while we're still getting what do they get, like $250K for the big fights?
Oh, they get more than that. It's just
The
it-
big guys-
who you
It's
are.
still just like
they get more. They get more.
The
than,
big guys make some decent money.
Well, all the
it's
guys
undercard
make
guys that make shit.
All the guys make good money because when they all have, if you're under contract, you have benefits. And boxers don't have a unified healthcare like the MMA, like the UFC guys do. But it's good because why should I pay a fucking undercard guy $500,000 when he didn't sell no tickets, when he's not bringing in no sponsorship dollar? You want to get paid? It's a fucking prize fight. You want to get paid? Bring some money to the table. That's when you can negotiate leverage. That's when you can pick and choose who you fight. So I don't feel
I
sorry.
gotta
I
stick
don't
here
feel
for you guys. Undercard guys don't make shit in boxing either for a long time.
I don't feel sorry for fighters that complain about their pay when You know what you're entering into to
He's
go to
talking
combat
about
sports.
Andre
just-
Ward right now.
I was just wondering if you're gonna see a lot of guys trying to jump ship to boxing because they know there's so
Well,
much more
if-
money
if-
in
if-
boxing.
I think if
at
they
that
do,
level.
they're fucking dumb.
Yeah.
Like that's
Agreed.
I can tell
a
you what's gonna
disrespect.
happen.
But not, it's not gonna happen. Is what you're
No,
saying, right?
it's not gonna happen.
Okay.
But if they try to do it, that's a straight disrespect to Conor.
This
And there's
could-
a lot of MMA guys who don't like Conor either. There's a lot of guys out there. He's not. He is disliked in around the world. Like the fans love him. We as fans fucking love Conor because he talks shit
And
and he
backs it up.
backs it up. Oh, he doesn't like Conor.
I think he hit his.
I was
his-
I was in a bar when he got his ass kicked by Nate with a bunch of fucking Irish, and I was fucking telling them all to go back to Ireland because it was so fucking great when he got his ass kicked.
Yeah. Well, what happened in the second fight?
It was a fucking boy. He barely eked out a decision. He didn't dominate him.
I don't
It
know.
was back and-
So did
it
he
was a
pull
good
Floyd
fight.
Mayweather?
It was a good, it was
good
back.
fight.
Connor didn't dominate him.
Oh no, I'm not saying that at all.
So it was a
but
good
I'm
fight.
saying it was a good fight though.
But when you finish somebody and someone beats you on decision, you always have a leg up because you finished.
Sure,
that
and that's why they're gonna fight a
You
third
know
time.
the
what?
third fight's going to be in a
Well,
boxing.
you got to
match.
give.
Mark my words.
See, but you're not giving Conor credit. Most guys would have Ronda Rousey'd and hid for a fucking year. And
No, I
Conor-
give him credit for
Conor
actually
wanted that
taking a fight.
You got to
again,
give him credit
right
because
away.
he just climbed like
He
two
fought at
big
his weight,
steps.
too.
Yeah, he went up in weight class.
They both went up in weight class. Don't give me that narrative there where he went up in weight. They both fight at 155.
Nate has multiple fights at
but
170.
they shouldn't be fighting at 170. Connor and Nate both walk around at the same fucking weight.
Height wise, who's taller?
Nate's taller.
How
much
much
taller? Nate's what, 5'10"?
Nate's like 6'1", man.
Nate's 5'11".
That's significant.
But they're
in the boxing stand up,
It's
that's very
significant, but that
I don't know
don't-
how it is when you. as
that
soon
don't
as
mean
you
nothing.
add
And
the-
when you guys both
and
walk
the-
around the same weight, and you guys both fight in the same division, you guys both are going into that fight on equal playing field. You guys both weigh the same.
I think height has a lot to do with it.
And
man.
and you're I don't like people that give Conor more credit for moving up in weight when he's getting a guy that fought off that's coming off a 5-day notice.
Yeah, but you're just hating right now.
I'm not hating. Conor had a full 8-week camp
Wait,
to
I
prepare
don't
for that
remember
fight.
what happened.
Their first
What
fight,
happened?
Conor was preparing to fight someone else.
Who was
Aldo
that?
got hurt.
He was
Rocky-
ready to fight someone
No,
else.
Dos
Dos
Anjos.
Anjos got
Dos
hurt.
Anjos got hurt, and Nate Diaz came off a vacation in fucking Mexico.
Okay, but he was already going up to 155, correct?
Yes,
To
he
fight
was
Dos
already
Anjos.
he was already in a full training camp.
So he
Okay.
actually,
So he
gave-
went up 2 weight classes in that same.
He actually helped Nate out and said, "Okay, well, let's fight at 170."
He helped himself out too because he
didn't have to cut
He
weight.
didn't have to cut because he didn't have to do that final week of cutting.
That final week of cutting's fucking
Okay,
murder.
that's fair, but up until Nate Diaz is he's bigger than Conor. He's not a muscular guy, but he's definitely bigger than Conor. Nate Diaz has fought at 170 multiple times. He isn't like he's fought there at least 6, 7, 8 times. He's not like a regular. He jumps back and
but
forth.
you can't equate
for whatever
big,
fight.
Conor's more
talking to the mic.
defined and bigger and muscular than Nate. Conor's stronger than Nate.
Okay,
Nate's just taller than
you know what?
Conor.
I'm just that doesn't mean
Taller
anything.
doesn't mean that
That doesn't mean anything in combat sports, though. I mean, there's so many.
It doesn't.
There's so
you
many
can-
skinny
Tommy
boxers that
Tommy
are
Hearns is one of the hardest
powerful.
hitters
Kelly
ever.
Pavlik looked like
Yeah, Kelly Pavlik's
not a-
another
not
one,
an
yeah.
impressive
just
looking
because he's
dude, but
taller, just like it's like.
But there's something to say about I mean, I'm not going to get into like a physics argument. There's something to say about the leverage of that punch, though, is going to be very powerful.
You can get into a physics argument
Because I don't know
Turns
it. That's
me
why I'm
on.
not going
no,
to do
but
it.
like you can't. You can't.
Well, no, there
I
is
just
a,
know
there-
I've been
there is
hinting at it.
there is a
I
physiology
can't-
thing to it. Like the taller fighters, the taller, thinner fighters with longer arms are able to develop more force with their punches, unless you're John Jones.
I was just about to say
my
John
thing
Jones
is, my thing is like you
4
go
foot.
back to the original day of fight weigh-ins. Connor and Nate are still always going to be at the same division with each other.
Maybe.
Okay, so if we don't want to give him credit for beating Nate Diaz eventually, what I was going to give him credit for was having been knocked out, taking the fight immediately right after, and then and then starting to talk so much shit that he got himself in a fight that most people would never
I
think that he
no.
belongs in, and he's going to make $100 million. That's what I'm giving him credit for.
I respect that.
To
I
have
just-
the balls to do that
Yeah.
after getting embarrassed to just doubling down 2 times in a row. I mean, that's why.
No,
I guess that's why you sell the tickets.
I
That's why he's
respect
doing
him
it.
as a fighter, but I'm too entrenched in combat sports to be like, dude, you had a full training camp. You got a guy off the street, basically, that wasn't in fighting shape.
But everybody knows the Diaz brothers stay in shape
They weren't as
365.
Diaz
do
was
they
fucking
do
in
decathlons.
Yeah, exactly. They
Triathlons, I
compete.
mean.
They compete shit
my
for
man
fucking fun.
my man can tell you right here. There's a difference between in shape and then being in fighting shape. Your
Also-
timing, your reflexes, sparring, putting in fucking 6 to 8 weeks a day, fucking working out 4 to 6 hours a day, sparring 75 to 100 rounds.
But I'm
before
not
your
arguing
fight.
with any of that.
No, I'm just saying, like,
My point is,
But what
as,
can-
as
what-
a fan, the fight was fucking interesting. I don't care about the weigh-ins, whatever.
because you're not, you're exactly, you're
Come fight day.
Okay, but I mean,
And this is what
let me-
UFC is
that's the
doing right,
casual.
and what boxing's doing wrong. Is at a certain point, it doesn't. We're not worried about guys' records. We're not worried about patty caking anyone.
You
we'll
can
put them
lose and
together
still fight.
because they're expendable, and we'll just go ahead and then the reverse of that is that a loss doesn't damage you as much in the MMA world. A loss is forgivable. You can still have a good career after a loss. Whereas in boxing, if you lose early, it's tougher to come back
Yeah.
from because people have written you off.
Well, and speaking about training camps, I mean, yeah, one guy could have had a full camp to train, but if you're training for a completely different stylistic fighter, won't that affect you as well?
Yeah, and in
Yeah, it
MMA,
will.
I would imagine even more so.
I mean, because RDA
Right?
is not a grappler. RDA is a stand-up guy. Conor was training to go trade with the fucking Brazilian stand-up guy.
It's not like Nate knocked him out. Nate didn't knock him out.
Another thought.
No, he didn't.
I don't think I'm on a side here, but another thought. He was training for a different type of fighter, and Nate was training for a different type of sport. He was in a triathlon, which
he wasn't
is-
even training. He was on vacation in Cancun.
Well, it's
Oh,
sipping
he was
tequila.
just saying that you were just telling me that he was in shape because he did a
both
triathlon.
Nick and Nate Diaz are always in shape. They are never.
Yeah.
That's why they're the guys. If the UFC needs a big fight on a short notice,
They'll call 'em.
They'll call when
Which is
Nick's
a
not
great
suspended.
way-
They'll call him up.
It's a great role to play in the fight world because that's a way to make money, especially if it's going to be the UFC, which is essentially a league. It means you're going
Oh,
to get
dude! Right now,
taken care of.
Nate Diaz has an altar in his house dedicated to Conor, and he fucking masturbates to it every night.
Well, the next
because
fight-
he
when
made
they
more
fight-
money with that fucking second fight than he ever has in his entire
He
career.
made about $7 million the first fight and doubled that the second.
And he
fight.
hasn't fought since, and he's been on record saying
He
he's
ain't
not
gonna fight
Well, the
anybody
plan
unless it's Conor.
if they go 12 rounds, Floyd and
That's
Conor, and Conor looks somewhat decent, the UFC is going to put on a boxing fight between Nate and Conor for the third fight. Mark my words.
Do you think they'll go 12?
That'll
be
just be
weird.
But it'll just be a
No,
like,
but do you
That
think the
won't go
fight-
12. If
do you-
they-
do you
that'd
think
be weird. I don't see that happening.
Connor and Floyd. Do you think that'll go? Do you think it'll go 12?
I'm afraid it will. Yeah,
no, it is.
It will.
Floyd, you
It'll
gotta
be
understand.
boring, and it'll go
You gotta
12. People will be
understand.
pissed off, and no one's going to buy the Canelo Triple G fight, which is a travesty. 'Cause
I'm
that's
kind
the important
of
fight.
glad no one's buying that fight because Oscar's hypocrite ass can't stand him. That
Hypocrite
fight,
ass.
Oscar's a fucking hypocrite.
So let's talk about
Yeah,
that
he-
because I feel like I heard you before we started, and I think you had a different opinion on it than Andrew. But how do you feel about Oscar's statement?
Well, it was basically we were in the same echo chamber of our thoughts on that fight, how he didn't deserve to be in the fight. Are you talking about that post he made and the Golden Boy had shared
I'm
it a
talking
bunch on all their
about
platforms?
six to
On
eight
the
months
day it
ago.
was
Oscar was saying
signed?
if Conor wants to get in the boxing ring, we can make the fight with Canelo.
And
I don't remember
and
that.
then when he
I
made,
don't remember that at all.
And then when he made the fight with Floyd,
I just remember
he's
his
like-
rant. I thought you were talking about his rant when they made the fight.
The rant is because they made it 3 weeks before the Canelo
Right,
Triple G.
which
fuck
understandably
their
he's
pay-per-views,
pissed because
yeah.
people are gonna be upset that they're wasting their $100.
Exactly.
Even if they're happy, they're not gonna spend $100 on it.
They're not gonna spend
on it
another
and then
80,
another 60,
Well,
70, 80.
how many Mexicans are going to buy this fight though?
You bring up a good
Which
point.
one? Which one?
The Floyd Conor fight.
Oh.
How many Mexicans are going to buy that?
Probably
You bring up the
me.
great point, and this is what I'm always telling people is that people are saying, "Oh, but boxing is dying to MMA," and we still put on the biggest fights in the boxing world. The fact of the matter is, boxing market and mainstream sport market are different things, and they have been, and they continue to be as MMA.
this
is
will
coming.
be the biggest pay-per-view.
MMA is bringing up a new demographic of people as their fans. It's 18 to 30, 33-year-old white males.
Right.
That wasn't necessarily the boxing market to begin with.
Since
prior to the MMA
since
being
Pacquiao
UFC being
Mayweather,
made.
there hasn't been a boxing fight on pay-per-view that's gotten more pay-per-views than a Conor fight on pay-per-view. The biggest
What was the biggest Conor fight?
1.5 or
I
1.6.
think
with
Brock
the-
Lesnar is
No, I'm talking
rivals.
about ever since Floyd. I'm talking about boxing. Since Floyd and Manny fought, there hasn't been a boxing
okay.
pay-per-view
Yeah.
has tanked
Yeah.
since that fight. That was
Yeah,
very bad
because
for boxing.
what did he do on the next go at it? He fought Andre Berto, which
no,
was
just
a
not even
yawn
that.
fest.
Not even that fight.
and
It
they
was
lost.
just-
They lost so much money on that.
They lost money on all his fights for Showtime except Canelo and Manny.
I think Showtime had a big part in this happening because it's
needed to
a
recoup
favor.
some
It's a
losses.
favor that Floyd owes Showtime
Right.
for that loss.
I can see that.
Because the biggest boxing fight since then has been Chavez Canelo, And if you got
that was a
that,
Jesus
but
Christ,
you
that
brought
was
that
stupid.
fight brought out is bringing out more Mexicans than the Canelo Triple G.
What was
I
so
guarantee
interesting
it.
about that fight was when it was signed. Everyone I know in the boxing world, for those of you that don't know me, I'm the only white kid in the all Mexican world of LA boxing, right? Everyone was on Canelo's side in the beginning. As we got close to the fight, it was really interesting how a lot of people were thinking, "Oh, I think Chavez might pull this off." There was all this sudden burst of hope in Chavez's
Because
corner.
they saw Chavez was taking it serious, but
because
Chavez only.
he wasn't
Apparently not
8
the,
pounds
the
overweight
day of
for
the
once.
fight.
Well, that's why. When they
Oh, yeah, that's right.
if Chavez was serious about his career, he'd be a bigger star than Canelo.
Yeah, because he's already too big of a star because of his name, right?
Yep.
But I don't knock him. You can't.
well, and
You can't ask who you're born to.
That and he fucking.
no,
and
he's
he-
great.
Well,
He's
he's
a
a
great fighter.
brawler
He's
too.
better than
he's got a
also
more
brawler.
fan friendly style than Canelo. Like people, even though he got his ass kicked by Sergio, like he won over fans because he went out on his shield like
That was
that.
it was a
But-
heart-filled fight.
But that fight, that was the biggest money fight since Floyd and Manny.
We watched that here, right?
Yeah, we watched
We
that
did.
here,
That was fucking
and
terrible.
because it was people didn't like Canelo after they saw like, oh, he's really doing the weight. He's making Chavez come down so much, and Chavez is only
Yeah, you brought that to my attention. I didn't believe it, and then I started seeing it.
Chavez won the fight because he made weight. Because any pound over was $1 million fine.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And that's insane.
That's how much.
That's
That's why people. That's
insane.
why a lot of Mexican. I don't like Canelo. I can't stand him. He doesn't want to fight. He doesn't want to unify this. This fight could unify the
A
entire
lot
division.
of people didn't like him because they're accusing him of dodging Triple G too.
But
and
this
Mexicans love Triple G.
they do. This fight can unify the 160 pounds. We can have an undisputed. We could damn near have an undisputed champion.
So who are you going for?
I would like Triple G to win, but I got to see how they look at the weigh-in more and up to the lead in the fight because
There's a possibility.
But
that-
who do you want to win?
I want Triple G to win,
Me too.
but he has. I don't want to say he's looked vulnerable in his fights because he hasn't the last two. He's just starting to look his age.
You
The
can't
Daniel
outrun
Jacob
Father
fight, yeah,
time.
he looked, yeah,
He didn't look
he
bad.
had competition.
People don't give Daniel
Yeah,
Jacobs
we haven't
credit.
seen that yet.
Daniel Jacobs is a big, fucking strong middleweight. Daniel Jacobs will kick Canelo's ass.
I hope they knock each other out. At the
I
same
mean, I
time.
see the Daniel Jacobs fight. I watched.
But people
it.
gave Daniel Jacobs more credit for surviving.
What do you have against Triple
than
G,
actually
Daniel?
I just said I hope they knock each other out at the same time.
But why? I thought you. I know you You don't
No,
like.
I just think it'd be
Canelo, but
more
why-
interesting if they both knocked each other out at the same time.
Oh, okay. It's all a
And that's how
spectacle.
the
That would
fight
be
ends,
interesting.
and
sure.
then you got to do round 2, and then you can really see.
Well,
who-
they're gonna if the fight's
Sounds like a
competitive. If the
Hollywood
fight's
script,
competitive, they'll do another fight. Well, Canelo has a rematch clause in that fight too.
he's A side, right?
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
A side.
They have different promoters, so at this point, when it's like a mega fight and you're bringing two separate promoters, it's like kind
Well,
of
Canelo's the money guy. He's the one that averages more
'Cause-
pay-per-views.
Because yeah, there's not a lot of Kazakhstanis
But
in the United
Canelo
States purchasing buys, but we have
compared to Triple G,
kinda
like
makes the
Canelo,
market.
when he's fighting a no-name, he's only getting like 100,000 pay-per-view buys more than Triple G, as opposed to when Triple G like fights like Jacobs. So, but that's enough, and he sells more tickets.
I mean, but Canelo's still fighting in stadiums, though.
Triple G could sell 40,000 tickets to Dallas Stadium. He said he could sell at the
Madison Square
Garden.
Garden was almost
He
full.
sold he sold
I was there.
20,000 in the Garden. He sold out the Forum. He sold out over there in London, in the
You
UK.
know
Yeah,
but-
I was in a nosebleed for $100, and that was full.
his pay-per-view in the UK.
MSG is a different beast. People just go see fights.
And
It's a
no,
fight
that's why I
MSG.
went.
Yeah,
Triple
see?
G.
I was like- it was a bucket list. I had to
Triple
go,
G
you know?
could sell 40,000 tickets in Dallas, easy.
I
When
don't know.
when tickets are priced $20, $10 like Canelo's,
I mean,
it's hard not to.
That fucking the Triple G Lemieux fight didn't do too well. So
That's pay-per-view. That's sold out the Garden.
yeah, but I'm saying people go to
I'm saying tickets.
People go to MSG
That-
because for the spectacle.
No,
that's history.
Look
that's
at all the
boxing
all the
history.
PBC fights
Well,
that
if
are
that's
put on
true,
in New York,
if
and they
that's
don't
true, why
fucking
have they
sell more
been
than
putting
5,000
as
6,000.
many fights there anymore?
Look at all the PBC fights that are in New
Sure,
York.
it's more
They don't get
expensive
more
to
than
rent it
5,000 or
out.
They're all-
6,000. They paper those events like so.
Yeah,
not doing that at
PBC is a
MSG,
joke.
though.
They're doing it at the
They're
Barclays.
floating that.
I feel like people aren't feeling the Barclays. Barclays is in Brooklyn too. I
Well,
mean,
these are native New York fighters that can't even sell that much in New York.
well, I mean that's kind of
He's a solid B side. Triple G to Canelo.
Oh, I think so.
But
100%.
I don't
he's still
consider it
he's
either
still
one.
respectable in a sense that he could sell out any venue that he fights in.
I still feel like the casual fan doesn't know who Triple
well,
G
not
is.
they
And
don't.
that's the problem. And I mean,
That has nothing to do with either guy. It's just
He can still
he's
sell
a foreign- He
tickets.
sells
I mean-
tickets. He's an entertaining guy. The casual fan is not really into boxing like that.
But what I hate, guys, is when the casual fan wants to tell me, "Oh, boxing's dead because this and that." Like, just because you're not paying attention to it and you don't know it doesn't mean the sport is dead or there aren't
dead.
high quality
On
fights
a mainstream
happening.
level in America, I can agree with
Because
that.
what people get behind is they turn on ESPN and they're fed for the next 3-hour cycle the same shit over and over again. And like ESPN used to have a model where they would show all kinds of sports. Now they just or a while ago they pivoted to a model where they just pick a couple of star athletes and star stories that they'll feed you over and over again, and that ended up being a more popular model for people to stand. The Tim Tebow model, where basically we show Tim Tebow as much as we can, even if there's not a true story. We have good ratings.
Yeah, right now it's Kaepernick.
Well, it's the sports.
Exactly.
It's the sports that'll generate the biggest ratings and the biggest sponsorship. And
Well, what I'm saying is they've trained their.
they
They
own
own a crowd and they've trained them into what they want to
I agree with you
feed
with the
them.
story, but like people are gonna want to watch
And
football.
that's why I'm writing
People are
boxing TLDRs because I need.
People are gonna watch football more than they're gonna watch boxing.
But see, here's my argument to what you just said. Okay. I didn't know that Pacquiao was fighting for free, and then you posted that like he was going to do that ESPN fight, like literally the day of. Okay,
you know what?
So,
They didn't renounce I had heard rumors from my friend, the promoter, local promoter who I work for. I had heard rumors from him that ESPN and Top Rank went into a deal to do some free TV fights, and I was like, really? I hadn't heard about this yet. And then later that night, which was a week before the fight, they finally released it. So I think that actually came together kind of late on the side.
But
of
hold
ESPN
on.
and Top Rank.
That's not even my point, though. I'm not even going there. I was like, cool, Pacquiao fight for free. I have nothing else to do this Saturday night. Let's watch it. And, it was a decent fight. And then you get to the fucking worst thing about boxing besides the whole, like, hugging and dancing bullshit, which I hate.
That happens in MMA too, when they're in the missionary position for a long period of time.
Yeah, but there's a
also.
difference
So
between grappling.
similar.
There's a difference between
Being in someone's
grappling
guard.
and doing that. Like, I used to feel that way too, but once
But
you
what
start
you don't know is there's something's going on there too.
Sure, hold on, but I'm just saying, as a fan, I don't like watching Floyd because there's no action. He's a counterpuncher, sure, whatever, but it's just this for 12 rounds. Okay, that a punch here and there that lands and connects, but it's nothing exciting. But you come to the decision, okay,
I was pissed too.
in which Pacquiao clearly fucking won,
I don't think he clearly won at all.
but he didn't lose by one of the judges like
One of them was
117.
I give you that, but I don't think Pacquiao won that fight. I
don't?
scored that fight a draw.
I didn't watch the
I
fight.
thought it was a close victory for Pacquiao.
I didn't watch the fight, but
Pacquiao looked old. He had no fucking legs, and he let the bigger guy bully him.
There's a lot of
was throwing a lot, but it
like
wasn't landing.
boxing insiders who think that Pacquiao lost that fight too. That's
Pacquiao
what-
shot. He's a
I
shot
haven't-
fighter.
I can't speak on it because I didn't watch it, but a lot of like
The problem-
a lot of pros are like they're not surprised that like went
It
the
was
way it did.
the way it was decided was as if it was a landslide victory.
On that one judge hard scorecard, yeah, you got to understand. See, but if you follow boxing
I mean,
more,
it's still a win or a loss in the column.
it's a winner. He's fighting.
It's like hitting a 300.
You're going to
foot
the
homer or a
other
500
fighter's
foot homer.
home country.
Yeah, but see, why is that?
That's just like going to your basketball player. You're going to the home team's arena.
That matters a lot, dude.
That matters. That's in every sport. You
And
can't
it's-
remove that from every sport.
you could if you don't fucking have judges from Australia.
no-
I don't think they were from Australia though, but they were influenced by 55,000 people who bought
That's like
tickets to that
that's
fight.
like going to play the
Which
Lakers
is why they didn't have to put it on
at
HBO.
the Staples Center.
I mean-
or go play LeBron
and
in
have
Cleveland.
judges in a hotel across the street.
You're a baseball fan, right?
That would
Yeah.
be a good
That's like
experiment.
making every single baseball field exactly the same.
Sure, but that's not. But I'm just saying the judging, the officiating. Okay, I understand they need to be ringside. They need to see it, but put them in a control center where the umpires in baseball. If we're gonna keep it to baseball, if you do instant replay, there's a New York center where they have every single fucking angle of everything and they review everything. Why not have that for boxing? You have the fucking officials in a room
I
isolated.
mean, going back with baseball, I think that's the same reason why we don't have fucking
So-
automated umpires. Like that people appreciate the human element in the game.
Daniel, that's a nice proposal and a cool experiment, but you got to realize that professional boxing happens all around the world.
yeah, well, fuck
in
you. It
small-
should just be knockouts all the time. That's boxing.
Well, then I guess we would just go back to the original model.
I
where
wish it
it's
was
round
like
after round.
No,
after
I would.
round.
I just wish it was back to 15 rounds and day of fight weigh-ins. We'd have
Oh,
a
I
whole
love
lot
the
more.
day before weigh-in. though.
No, that's unfair. That's giving a lot of fighters a way out.
I'm just pissed because Butterbean, there's no boxers like Butterbean anymore. And
What a clown.
Butterbean, I'm being serious. I fucking would watch Butterbean fights. Genuinely. Because I knew at least something was going to fucking happen. You're never going to see Butterbean fucking hold and hug somebody. Okay,
They just didn't work because they were like,
okay,
you can't
good.
make it around.
You just haven't seen enough. There's a way to hold. Holding can be strategic.
The only thing he holds are fucking
holding
boxers.
can allow you to move
hire someone, a way to
maneuver
you're
around
basically
your
manhandling
angles.
somebody to get your next shot off.
All I'm saying, man.
You've never watched Pernell Whitaker fight. He did everything Floyd did, but he was even more a savant, and it was entertaining to watch.
As a casual fan, it's really hard to watch 12 rounds of dancing.
What I'm saying is it's just not. Maybe it's not for the casual fan anymore. We have our own market, and it's
So then what's
doing
the-
well. We're
then-
still making the biggest fights.
So
We're still
then-
making the most money.
But you sound like a hypocrite right now because you just got through explaining it like about how
I'm mixed, I guess. Mixed feelings.
Because it is mixed feelings because on one hand you're repping the sport 100% where you're like, hey, fuck off, you don't know boxing, you don't box, like who are you to tell me that you shouldn't be able to hold somebody or whatever because you just don't understand. But at the same time you're also saying, well, I wish boxing was a little more, Americans knew more, blah 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 blah. But like these are our concerns. I mean, it's not like
there's a lot of content. Americans are got so much stuff to watch. Boxing's thriving all over the world. You go to London, Eddie Hearn and Matchroom. They're putting on big fights, big spectacles, entertaining fights. The fight Triple G had with Kell Brook over there did 500,000 buys. The Klitschko Joshua
also,
did
like, the most
1.5 million.
British title holders at any given point in
yeah,
time
so-
is like recently and now this era. Like,
American casual boxing fans are just spoiled.
If anything,
And they're neophytes to actually with the intricacies of boxing.
if anything, if you want to say boxing's dead, you could say boxing might be dead in the States.
I've never
But
said it
around
was dead.
What if I'm not saying you? But if someone's going to say boxing's dead, you might say it is,
And
but it's thriving around the world.
The average boxing fan in the States that's Latino, they're very versed. They know the
I'm
sport.
below
They don't,
average.
Yeah, because you don't know who Salvador Sanchez is, huh?
No, I don't.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't.
That's probably one of the greatest. That's probably the greatest Mexican
Wilfredo
fighter.
Gomez versus Salvador Sanchez.
Oh yeah, he
I'm not-
put a Puerto Rican on his knees. Do I love it?
This guy with this bullshit.
It's where they belong.
I mean, I will watch boxing, but it's just maybe it's just Floyd because every time I mention the ducking and like all that stuff,
You
I
equate
pick-
boxing with Floyd.
Yeah,
See,
and
we have bad ambassadors right now for the sport.
and
Exactly.
maybe, and
Like,
so that's
that fight, Klitschko Joshua did more for boxing than Floyd and Manny have done for their whole careers.
Well, that's
Yeah, you know what's cool about that
fight?
fight was it happened at 4 p.m. on Showtime, and then HBO had the rights to show it again
replay,
that night.
yeah.
So everyone had been talking about how great of a fight it was on like social media or whatever, and you wouldn't believe how many people I got text me saying, "Dude, how great was that fight?" when they had seen it on HBO because everyone by that time knew to watch it. So that's actually a model maybe we should pursue.
Well, it just
further
has to be,
with using British fights, showing the best ones, rebroadcasting them just later at night because we don't have a good way of we don't have a good screening process. We don't know when we're gonna show you shit.
If we had if the public still got to see like Barrera Morales, Gotti Ward, Hagler, people still talk about Hagler Hearns. Like if you have, no one's invested in the narrative of the fighters. That helps a lot.
Well, let me ask you this: what about the national aspect of it? Like,
Oh, a
of
lot of
all the
national-
sports out there, like boxing is definitely one where people tend to
It's
support
racial
the
and
fighter from their
nationalist.
country, and then there's the racial aspect too. Like it's still
fighting
still,
MMA too, UFC too. When they go to Brazil,
I feel like not as much so. Like because the only
that's a combat sport. They
It'll
get
get
that
there.
from boxing.
The history isn't as
Well,
deep.
just
but
in
they'll
any
get there.
combat sport, it's just like go back to the Coliseum. The fighter from this fucking wherever he traveled to walk to the Coliseum to represent his clan, he had his clan behind him, and that's always going to be combat sports.
So what's your question though? What was your question?
Well, I'm saying because of the national aspect, how do you make boxing popular when there's
boxing's
no here again
There's
in the
no
States when
American
there's no
heroes?
American hero? Yeah,
They gotta
like how do you make Bud
Errol
Crawford
Spence
big?
Jr. baby, he's the next American
What a
hero.
lot of it is too. Boxing is a poor man's sport in the sense that.
So it's like soccer?
No,
Is that why Americans don't like
I'm
soccer
talking about
either?
the
But
rich.
then in
kid-
America, soccer's a little kind of a suburban white boy
rich kid
sport,
like take
too.
Josh Rosen from UCLA. He's a wealthy kid. Wealthy people aren't coming up in boxing. Well, boxing is not.
Soon they're going to be going away in football too.
It's going away. Boxing does not generate the talent pool it used to domestically.
And also that talent is finding avenues in other sports.
They're going to basketball. They're going to
course.
baseball. They're going to. And if you had a solid, entertaining white American boxer, He'd be on every channel. He'd be on every TV.
I don't want to get in the whole Great White Hope.
No, I'm
thing
not. But
again
that's
for the
why.
millionth time that the sport
that's
wants to keep bringing up.
Those
over and
those
over
are
again.
facts. So you get an entertaining, good-looking All-American boy to box, and he's entertaining, and he puts on a show.
So you're saying Kelly Pavlik wasn't big because he's not good looking?
Look at you get a boxer that's like a J.J. Wyatt or a Tom Brady or Aaron Rodgers. People are gonna watch.
Yeah, we get the point. I mean, we've
That's
all
just-
heard this.
if there's a-
we've heard
no,
the
I'm saying if
story.
there's
Tommy Morrison was a good looking guy before he got the AIDS.
He didn't have it.
Well, now it turns out he never had AIDS.
He never had it. That was a false positive.
You see, after all these years,
I think I read something that he was a false positive,
I
and he
heard he
died in a
did
car
have it.
accident, though.
But anyway, what I'm
So
saying
RIP.
is,
But I'm saying,
fighter,
that
fighter.
he was a good looking guy and he wasn't a big fighter, and he was a heavyweight.
no,
too.
but I'm talking about like the
Okay,
charisma.
Wait,
like,
he wasn't big?
He was not a popular fighter. No.
He
So
didn't
a
have
movie
no
deal?
pizzazz. Or
Well,
he had
yeah,
no charisma.
He did Rocky fucking 5, which was a joke of a
Yeah,
movie.
that
So-
don't count.
So
Okay.
I don't know
But he was
boxing.
we
popular.
don't even talk about that Rocky movie. No, but he wasn't popular because he was out around the time of Evander Holyfield,
And
Tyson. Yep, he was around the same time. He never fought either of those guys.
His coach was John Brown, who's a friend of mine. I worked for him one summer, and he's now president of USA Boxing. So he had a lot of good stories. Of,
What I'm saying
the
is
white trash.
when every culture,
Tommy.
especially in boxing, if every culture has representation, they're gonna support that fighter that represents them.
Of course.
No, I agree with that.
And then boxing,
Why do you think
boxing
that every
needs that?
Why do you think every big fight is on September 16th or that weekend of Mexican
the
Independence
Mexican-
Day?
Well, those
Or
are some of the
Cinco
best
de Mayo
boxing.
weekend?
Like
those are the weekend. Those are the two money weekends. Are the
Well,
because
watch when Mickey Conlan's gonna be fighting in St. Patrick's Day. That's gonna be a huge.
Yeah, he
that's
debuted
gonna-
on St. Patrick's Day,
That's
and
gonna
it was
be
a big show. I
in
was
New
there.
York. That's gonna be a huge money day for him.
Well, my question is, okay, so like I don't know boxers,
Fake-ass New
but
York Irishman.
I know who Andre Ward is, right? Why doesn't he like? What about him do people not like?
I'll let you take this one. You have a big
he's
opinions on
American.
this.
He's American, but he's undefeated.
I have a responsibility. Well, I'll start with Andrew.
But I mean, do you like
Andre Ward.
He's the last American gold medal winner.
He's the last American gold winner, but
Just saying.
his style has never been entertaining to the casual fan.
Is he not good on the mic, or what is his problem? That like, no, I'm serious because
Andre
like,
Ward's not gonna buck dance for nobody. I respect that about him. But Andre Ward did a disservice to his career when he stood out 2 years going to battling his promoter. And when Andre Ward won the Super 6 tournament, the money guy in that division was Lucien Boutte out in Canada. Andre Ward scoffed at going to fight him because Andre Ward's idea was like, I'm the man. I beat all these guys. You got to come to me. And instead of going to fight Boutte, Carl Froch went and got to fight Boutte, knocked him out, and rejuvenated his career after the Ward loss. Meanwhile, Ward hadn't fought in almost 2 years battling his promoter. So Ward was removed from the public eye.
so you're saying if he would have went out and fought him, he might be someone that
would've
America could latch onto.
Yeah, because Ward has never went out and
He also
traveled
signed
to
with
fight.
a terrible promoter right now.
No,
He's with
Rock Nation.
He's with Rock Nation.
But-
what good does that do? Because Rock Nation still is figuring it out. They're
Is
like,
Rock
is that
Nation-
Jay Z's
yeah.
promotion?
Well, you know why he signed with him?
He's a
'Cause
guinea pig on this whole experiment. in a
Look how
sense.
much money they guaranteed him.
Right, but
He signed. That was a strictly business decision. This last fight with
so is
Kovalev.
Jay Z trying to bring it?
No.
Make him into
It's a tax write-off for Rock Nation.
Oh.
This last fight,
which
Ward
is what
had-
a lot of promoters do. Like small time promoters, they'll be rich businessmen or managers. Rich businessmen, they'll get into boxing because it's like your opportunity to get into professional sports. But it ends up being, if you're like a manager and you just invest in kids, their careers, it ends up being a write-off.
Like Rock Nation, this last fight, Andre Ward had a guaranteed purse of $5 million, which was ridiculous. This Kovalev Ward fight didn't even generate enough to.
This is the second time they fought,
The
right?
second time they fight, it did less business than the first fight.
That's when you know it's bad.
That's when you know it's bad. But Andre Ward is a talented, great fighter. I can give him a fight. It's just he mixed with him having sometimes not having a fan-friendly style and him not fighting in 2 years has a lot to do with
You
why.
have a big problem with
It's
people
the 2
pussing
years.
out.
It was the 2 years that killed him.
It was a combination.
I think a lot of people respect that he's so adaptable. He can figure out
He'll take-
different
he'll
people's
fight.
styles,
Yeah.
and he can evolve all the time. So I think boxing fans love that. It was the 2 years he was out, people were annoyed.
people forgot about. You forget about.
As you, of course you would,
you know. But also, he's not in a division he wasn't in glamour divisions, and now it's is he gonna? They didn't fight actively enough. Like the reason Triple G grew so much, Triple G was fighting 4 times a year, knocking people out. The more you're in the public eye,
I mean, Pacquiao was fighting a lot.
But let's not.
when he was in his.
Let's also not forget the other problem. There's 2 other issues with Andre Ward that we haven't talked about. Number one, his nickname is Son of God, so he does a lot of the Christian preach. He comes out to a Christian hip hop song. You know that shit. Just people
Are
don't
they
like
signed
that
to
shit
Rock
anymore.
Nation or Rock? What is it?
That Jay-Z ain't signing no Christian rappers. But that's one problem. He's like super Christian. He's trying to be the good
But that's
guy.
what America
Wait,
likes.
he's super-
No, but
he's
America
super-
does not like
he's
fucking
not Team
Christians
Tebow.
anymore. No.
Not in
Why,
the
'cause he's
boxing.
black?
Because he's black. Exactly because he's black. That's one of it. That's one of his issues.
Yeah, the Tim Tebow Christian Bible thumping lovers aren't necessarily going to venture into having
That's
a black
true.
hero as their
If Colin
as their
Kaepernick
guy.
were like fucking Tebowing, I doubt they'd be behind him.
Right.
Yeah, it's a different kind of knee.
It's
Taking it-
Yeah. but there's that aspect to it, and then the other aspect is he's fucking boring.
and his
He
own
said it. He's boring. At Oakland, we're
He
from
can't
Oakland.
sell it in Oakland.
He can't sell it. Nobody in Oakland gives a shit because he does a thing. He throws one punch, he hugs. He throws one punch, he hugs. He throws one punch, he hugs. He didn't do that with Kovalev. Kovalev didn't let him do it, and Kovalev paid the fucking price for it. But you know.
Kovalev has another issue. Kovalev's gotten civilized as a fighter. So
I didn't watch the second fight, so I can't speak of it. I saw-
Kovalev's got civilized as a fighter. He was putting all the onus on everybody else. He wasn't training as hard as he should. He fired one of his all his strength and conditioning. He let them go and adopted more of a Russian team. But Ward, like you said, if as a fighter, if you're not able to solidify your home area, it's going to be tough for you to gain mainstream appeal. That's why Terrence Crawford will sell out 15, 20,000 tickets in his home city.
Unless you're really good and people hate you. Because, I mean, who does Floyd have?
Floyd
doesn't have a home.
Floyd played the villain, and
Floyd
it
didn't get
made
that.
him
Floyd,
millions and
Floyd
millions
didn't
and
do
millions.
that till Oscar De La Hoya gave him the lottery ticket.
Yeah. But
Floyd wasn't selling out nothing. His pay-per-views were
He
boring.
got him once he got on the stage, though. But
it was that passing of the torch. Like that's what a lot of that goes
That's
on
when
in
he
boxing.
went from pretty boy Floyd to Money Mayweather.
and Floyd and boxing hasn't recovered because Floyd refuses to pass the torch the way Oscar did to him and Manny.
Well, I thought he was trying to pass the torch to one that fighter underneath him.
No,
Adrian Broner?
No,
Yeah.
he wasn't. Passing
He
the
thought
torch.
so.
Passing
He
the
thought so.
torch.
Broner's
Passing the
garbage,
torch is
too.
boxing. Is fighting the next hungry guy that.
Beats him.
Yes.
So
That's how boxing works. That's what happened with Klitschko
and,
and Joshua.
and he's not fighting any hungry
And
fighters.
he's not going to fight. He won't
not
fight
one
Errol
of them.
Spence. He won't fight Triple G. Floyd has not dared to be great.
I mean, he won't even fight fucking one-time Keith Thurman. He won't
Okay,
fight
he'll
any of
beat
these
Keith
guys.
Thurman's ass, though.
But I'm just saying, he
Yeah.
won't even take
He won't
the
touch
risk.
Errol Spence.
He won't take the risk.
So if Floyd beats Conor, do you think he's done?
yeah, he should.
Well, he finally got
Jesus.
50 and 0.
But I mean,
It
not
depen- it de-
51.
It depends.
like-
it depends.
It depends on how
It all depends on the guy.
depends
and
on
how much money.
I'll tell you what.
How much money he blows, how much the IRS takes.
If Floyd beats Conor and Triple G beats Canelo, if he can get Triple G side to agree to like an 80-20 split, that's another $200 million for him. 150, 200 million. He'll fight him then.
And you think who would win on that fight?
It depends. If it's at if he gets Triple G to come down to like 155, the bare minimum for him to get the middleweight titles, I think Floyd will win.
I don't think that fight would ever happen.
Yeah, no, I will.
I think Triple G had said at one point, "I'll get down to 154 to fight you," but I don't think that will ever happen.
If there's enough money, yes, if Triple G looks amazing and knocks out Canelo, and Floyd beats Conor, and Floyd wants to like, you know what? Okay, let me try to
Because
get.
it might spark something in him.
Well,
like
no,
fight a
let me
young
try
gun.
to let me be great again and try to do what other great 140 pounders did and get a middleweight belt.
But how?
I mean, does it count though? Triple G's 35 now.
It'll count just because that'll be the.
You know, that's the thing. It's like, you know what? It's another Pacquiao situation where Floyd's gonna fight another dude who like is past his prime.
So they're both old
you
too,
know,
though.
So then
That'd
who
be
does
it'd be perfect for them.
Who does Floyd fight right now? Then if
he's
wanted
got to
to prove
fight someone
that he's good,
in his weight class who's young and up and coming.
so who would that be?
or he fights a
That's a
bigger
good
guy
question.
like
That's
that.
it. That's it. You ask these guys because that when it
But
comes
see,
to that,
It would have to be a money fight.
It'd have to be
He'll
a money
not-
fight
he's
because he's
gonna
not
move
gonna
for-
he's not gonna fight Errol Spence.
Errol Spence wouldn't be a money fight yet. Errol Spence is like
And Errol Spence will
gonna
fuck
be.
him.
He's
Errol
gonna be
Spence-
that guy, but he's not that guy yet. As
Errol's-
far as money, as
yeah,
far as
right.
ticket sales, as far as pay per views.
Oh, he's not
So-
gonna get that guy before Crawford because Crawford's on a higher
God,
path.
I
than
love
him.
Crawford. I want to see him be the next like franchise athlete for Top Rank. I want to see that happen. Like I feel like we're getting there, but I feel like Top Rank had been kind of
you didn't like Crawford's last fight either, right?
Well, Crawford's last. Who did he fight last fight? No, no, that was Lomachenko.
There was a fight you complained about with Crawford. It was recent.
Oh, that wasn't him. It was the Postall fight. Postall did not come to fight that fight where he got the other belt from Freddie's guy. I didn't see Crawford's last fight. I know
I thought Postol trained with Freddie.
it was Freddie's guy. Yeah, that's why I said Freddie's guy. Postall.
Well, my question was more of, do you think he'll? Because Holyfield is the one who came back when he was in his 40s, right? George Foreman.
Foreman.
But do you think he would come back and do something like that?
If there's a money fight out there for Floyd, one left, he'll take it. But
it's not safe for him either. That's the thing. Is like, the reason why Foreman could pull that off is
he's heavyweight.
Because he's a heavyweight, but he had insane fucking like once in a generation power.
Just he would look at you and you'd get
He
knocked
had that
out.
like he's a generational puncher.
If you look at the punch he knocked out Michael Moore with, it was like he didn't even follow through with that jab. It was a jab. It was a straight, simple 1-2.
There's guys out there like you could train your whole life and you'll never be able to punch as hard as that.
All right,
You're
so I
just
want to
born
go. I want to go around the
punching
table.
like that.
How much money would it take you to, in his prime? How much money would you want for him to punch you? Just square, like, I don't know, not in the face, but like a body shot.
I think the body shot might be worse. I think you're fucked either.
Well,
way,
the body
right?
shot is gonna hurt worse, but you're not gonna have the brain damage. So
How much?
a hospital bill for your ribs.
And like minimum, not like 10 billion. Like, be realistic. And it would be something on
If
Jackass.
I'm going to take a punch from George Foreman
In his prime.
it needs to be life changing money.
in his prime.
Yeah, give me a training camp. Give me $5 million. I'll do it. I'll get in the ring with him.
I didn't say get in the ring. I just said have him punch you.
I'm gonna want to get in the ring and shit. You know, Mexican. It's not a fight till you get hit.
So you would act, if you were to take that bet, you'd be like, let's go in the ring.
Yeah.
Knock me the fuck out if you're gonna.
Yeah.
Okay, I would not do that. How much?
I think I need
Give me 5.
I need minimum like $500,000 to take one punch. Minimum. Like
It's not enough for the medical bills.
That's yeah.
Well, I would
You're selling
assume
yourself short there, man.
I would assume all that's covered. Like, if he fucking blows your appendix up with the punch, like, you're gonna get that covered. You don't have to worry about that. I don't know. I'd probably take like at least $100,000.
I'm not gonna stick my chin out for there.
You guys are cheap, man.
I'm gonna keep I took $5 million. I'm gonna keep
Well, I'm being realistic here. No
gonna
one's gonna
keep
pay me $5 million to get punched by George Foreman.
I'm gonna
broke,
keep my
man,
chin tucked.
so, my price is fucking. My
And
price
you?
is low.
And you've been punched plenty of times. How much? In his prime. You right now.
Well, my answer was going to be, until you try to make me be all rational a second ago. My answer was going to be, let me look at how much is Conor making? 100 million? Why would 100 million?
Just for one punch, though. Not a fight.
For a punch
just
that we
one
know
punch.
is this, in this scenario, this is like a televised freak show, right?
Right.
The prime heavyweight champion of the world is going to
Punch you.
punch a child.
As hard as
There's
they
going to be
can.
money involved, right? We're not just doing this in the back alley.
Yeah.
So I'm charging 100 million.
You're gonna 100 million.
If that's what we're willing to pay for other spectacles, that's what we're paying for this one.
You're not gonna get it, unfortunately. I'm sorry.
Well, then I won't get punched
Well,
too. So
'cause
it's
How
still
many
win.
pay-per-view buys would you get if you like marketed like George Foreman punches a child once on pay-per-view?
That's not gonna be pay per view. That's gonna be live leak.
$29.99. I guess you could get $1 million if it's like at $30.
Yeah, if you put it, $15, something low end, I would pay $10 to watch some fucking rando kid to get punched in the stomach. No bullshit. Live. Like, if they put on an event, like, I would fucking pay $10.
Have there been other like pay per view events that have like not been like a sport? Like, can you think of anything like this?
I feel like there was whatever happened, and I'm going off this point.
I feel like there was monster truck rallies that were pay-per-view.
Because I feel like wasn't there going to be wasn't Celebrity Boxing a pay per view, or is that just a TV show?
It was a TV show.
And wasn't who the fuck was going to fight this year? Not
Oh,
R.
it was like
Kelly,
two rappers that are
It was
in a
Chris
beef.
Brown
Chris Brown, and whatever happened to that?
Soldier Boy.
That I don't know what happened.
Because that was going to be the super
People would've paid for
fight.
that.
That was a super fight put on by Floyd's company.
Okay, what happened was
Floyd was training one of them.
what happened was
and then Conor came around.
A real fight had to be made, so you had to focus on that.
yeah. What happened was the
predictions.
fucking Soldier Boy realized that Chris Brown is
Fuck him up.
is actually like about that life. And then he's like, "Oh shit, I'm a fucking studio gangster. Okay, I'm a back up and I'm gonna try to apologize now." That's what he did. He apologized to him. We went out.
Did that help either one of their like record sales or anything?
I
Was
mean,
that
Chris
a
Brown
well-timed
Chris Brown
thing,
beat the
or-
fuck out of Rihanna, and he's still selling out
Yep.
arenas and.
So-
And women still
Yeah.
No,
love
no, no.
him.
Did it
R.
help?
Kelly-
was
R.
it
R.
was it a
Kelly's been
stunt they
pissing
were
on-
doing? The way
did not help- it did
boxers
not help
shit
his
talk
career
to build a
'cause
fight. Did it help any other?
I don't think
sales or-
Soulja Boy hasn't put a record out. in a
Soulja Boy
long
hasn't
time.
been relevant since that Superman song.
Yeah,
Right, which is why this was a good Twitter battle for him to have. And is what I'm
And it
saying.
didn't go his way.
It didn't help him out. is
It
what
was
I'm
kind of like
saying.
Meek Mill
It
when
was
Meek
worse
Mill went after
because then he
Drake.
got robbed.
Yeah, I don't know
Yeah.
what that is, honestly.
So what happens? What do you think is going to happen the night of the fight?
Okay, yeah, we got to wrap this up. We're running a little long. So, for me, I mean, we'll start with you guys. I guess you start with your predictions. Garrity, we'll start with you.
Yeah.
Hey, I would love to see a knockout either way. Although I've said one of them is going to be bad for my sport. I'd love to see a knockout either way because that means it's the most entertaining fight for the fans. Unfortunately, I think it's going to be kind of a 12-round point
Decision to
decision.
who? Decision to who? We need to know. We need to have it set in stone.
To Floyd Mayweather Jr., I'm afraid.
How about you, Andrew?
I'm still kind of trying to figure out who the referee is going to be because that's going to dictate a lot of how the fight's going to go. Of like what the referee
Herb
will,
Dean.
No, but what the referee will allow those two guys to get away with. So, if it's
Assuming it's the best for the fight. What are your predictions?
a no contest, we're gonna see some fucking.
What you think
shenanigans.
Floyd's gonna? Connor's
Something-
gonna knee him or something?
Something stupid's gonna happen.
Oh, yeah, I didn't even consider that. Yeah.
Something stupid's gonna happen to where either guy doesn't look bad, and
Do you think it's gonna be intentional, or the referee's gonna call something stupid
it's-
that's gonna
I
bring
can't
up
predict-
outrage?
I just think it's gonna be a no contest. I think something fishy's gonna happen. They're gonna walk to the bank together, holding hands, and the public's gonna be upset that they fucking got suckered again.
Okay. Daniel?
Well, I'm still thinking, so skip me.
Okay, so I think Floyd is going to win. However, I think Conor is going to win 2 rounds.
Do you think it's gonna
sure.
go the
I-
full
I think it's
12?
going to go all 12, and I think Conor's going to. He might land one shot that gets people excited in the earlier in the fight, and I think he'll win 2 rounds. People think he's not going to win any rounds. People think he's only going to
It's
land
a
like
win
one
for Conor
punch.
if it goes.
Yeah,
12.
of course, and that's a typical Floyd fight. He figures him out and gives up a couple rounds.
If it goes 12 rounds, that does more for Conor's legacy than it does for Floyd. Floyd, they're
people
gonna-
will applaud him. Yeah, you're right.
people were like,
He went 12 with
boxing
the legend.
needs
Yeah, he
Floyd
went 12 with the
to
best,
finish
yeah.
him. Boxing, it'll be good for Floyd to like, come on, get him out of there, Floyd. He's a novice. He's a neophyte.
I wonder if he cares that much though.
I think to a degree, I think Floyd does.
I hope that. I hope
don't
that'll
think-
make it for a better fight.
'Cause
I don't
that's why-
think
that's
Floyd
why
can
Floyd-
knock Connor out. I don't think he has the power to.
He
knock
might not be
Conor
able
out.
to, and he might not care as what's
It
worse.
doesn't
I
about
think.
power if it's all footwork. If he catch Conor on a wrong angle and right on the chin, I don't care who you are, you're going down.
Sure, going down, but not out.
See, the caveat to that, though, is that
And Conor has scar tissue all over his face and he'll get lumped up quick.
the caveat to that, though, is, however, Floyd is going to take less risks because it
Yeah.
looks worse for him to get caught by Conor.
Yes.
You know. I mean, I'm one of those guys. I thought Zab Judah was beating Floyd until he had that fucking meltdown.
He was.
in the middle of the ring,
And that was a knockdown, too.
When the hood came out of Zab in round fucking 5, he fucking lost his mind, and then he ended up losing the fucking fight.
It was a knockdown, and then Floyd should have been disqualified for that fight when Roger Mayweather jumped into the ring, but they didn't follow the rules.
What
that
happens
night.
if there's a toss up and Connor knocks out Floyd? Like
I bring
Floyd,
that up
like,
because Connor's a southpaw too. That's the only
well,
reason.
like when Floyd knocked out what's his name, Ortiz.
Victor Ortiz, something like that.
If Connor does that,
that's
Then
what
there'll
I'm
be
talking about.
then there'll be a second fight.
Yeah.
And they'll make more money.
So my prediction is this. I'm going to say it right to the camera so it's on record. Connor is going to knock out Floyd in the first fucking round. You heard it here first. You're all laughing. Fuck all of you guys and everyone else out there. First round knockout.
I think you need to make a fucking run to Vegas if you truly believe that. Vegas is only
if
3.5 hours away.
after the podcast, if you show me how to do that, I will fucking do
Put
that.
$100.
Drive to Vegas.
I have to
and
drive to
fuck-
Vegas to put a bet down?
Yeah, I
I
mean,
can't-
Better odds.
I mean, there's bow dogs, but you could try that. But
You heard it here first, folks. First round knockout, Conor McGregor. You're gonna fucking laugh at this shit, but I've already been right about one thing. I predicted Spider-Man: Homecoming's final Rotten Tomatoes score way back last year, and
Did you?
it ended up being right. Yeah, on a podcast
To the exact percent.
To the exact
I
percent.
do,
was it?
I do give him a little respect because he does like Indiana Jones and the Legend of the Crystal
Oh
Skull.
yeah, you two are the only people on the planet
It's a great
who like
Kingdom.
fucking Crystal
Kingdom
Skull.
That
of
was a
the
fucking
Crystal
great
Skull.
movie. What are you
There
talking
you go.
about?
Thank you.
That was a shit show.
It was fucking amazing.
Fucking CGI monkeys and Shia's
It
like
was fucking
swinging next to him.
beautiful. I
Get
loved
the
it. It
was
fuck out of
good.
here. And they hid in a refrigerator to survive an atomic bomb.
Hey,
Oh, yeah.
we're gonna
Yeah.
need that information now with fucking North Korea, all right?
Right.
You know how good that refrigerator? Those were real good
Those were-
refrigerators.
that was
back then.
America.
They don't make them like they used to.
No, that was fuck. They got cancer because it was full of lead. It was a lead refrigerator.
I didn't mean it doesn't mean he couldn't survive it.
Yeah.
It's Indiana Jones. He survived fucking what? He survived the Ark of the Covenant. He can't fucking
Swinging
survive.
monkeys, bro.
He can't survive.
You did not see swinging monkeys in any of the other
He
three movies, but
survived-
you saw them today and fucking Shia in
He
that movie.
survived
And Shia was
the
swinging
Ark
with
of
them.
a Covenant.
Get
he
the
can't
fuck
survive
outta
a
here.
fucking nuclear bomb.
Exactly. No one's talking about the aliens too at the end of that movie.
That was great too. The
I
multi-
believe
Exactly.
I believe aliens and atomic bombs more than I do swinging monkeys. Fucking swinging with monkeys. Like
What do you want
Tarzan.
monkeys to do? That's
All
what they
right?
do. They
Why
swing.
the fuck were they friends with Shia?
Why not?
Oh, get the fuck out of here. That's enough. That's enough. But that's gonna do it for us, guys. You know the drill. Hit that bell, subscribe, like, and give us some comments. Let us know how you feel about our fight thoughts.
And for all of our
If you have shit to
iTunes,
talk to, please contribute that.
for what?
Talk shit about this fight.
Oh, this fight. Okay, I thought you had something else
yeah,
to say.
and plug your
Oh yeah,
your website.
if you're interested in boxing at all, I do a weekly newsletter called Boxing TLDR. You can find it at boxingtldr.com. You can subscribe right there on the homepage.
Excellent. How about you, Andrew?
Yeah, Only Sanch and Twitter, Best Buy Polo. Yeah, that's it.
All right, guys. We'll see you next time. Thanks for listening.